All right, y'all. Greetings and welcome to the Chopping It Up show. I'm your host, Joe Beard. Happy to be of service for you today. Today is March 23rd, 2025. What is that? What's that? 8:34 on the East Coast and 5:34 on the West Coast. We appreciate all those listening live or listening in one of the podcast forums or whatever platform you are. So I always say this is a great guest because I always mean it. But this time, this is gonna be actually fun because all right. So spoiler a little bit. I marched with all of them that y'all see.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they have blown up and they have their own podcast. You guys see in the title Band Sessions with the Boom, and they're doing a really good job of Boom alumni reaching out and having interviews. So it's like a Jackson State thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So man, I'm like really proud of what you guys are doing. And so I had to reach out and get you guys on the show. So the cast, the hosts, as you guys see, Donyale Walls, 19. Well, first of all, they all 98. Okay.
Great
Yep.
98.
Great
Hey,
98.
A great
Amen.
Great
98.
98.
Hey.
The great
So,
98. Yeah.
like what's cool is a lot of what probably I asked you about some of your experiences. I was probably there because I was with y'all. Because most of the time I ask somebody, it's like, oh yeah, and I wasn't in the band with them. But so let me get to I'll go in order, so like alphabetical order as far as like the questions. So Donyale Walls, Trump Funk, 1998.
Hey.
The the hardest crab class in the history of the, and I'll leave it there. All right.
Hey.
Terrel Key played French horn. So let me do this. Let me go to this camera. So this Donyale here. All right. And then here goes Terrell. Okay, and again, 98. The funky horns representing. And Toby Johnson. Y'all see here. WT. WT. And then you guys will see some of the pictures of them. But like I said, I'm really proud of you guys. I watched the show. I've seen a lot of shows. And you guys definitely is professional, but it's clean and it's not janky. And then y'all got the dope intro now. I seen. I was like, damn, yeah,
Yeah.
the
T
intro
Reezy.
dope.
T Reezy right there, baby.
Okay, and then I definitely I gotta make sure I get some of the merch when y'all get it because I see Donyale rocking the dope sweatshirt.
Hey.
You see that? So I gotta make sure I get that. But like I said, I marched with them. So I could just be like, hey, I was with there. And so I actually got my own stories with y'all too. So I don't want to get too excited. So let me get into y'all. So first, uh welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So I already introduced who you guys are. But essentially it's the basic timeline of the show, where you guys from, how you got into the instrument, how you got into the band and all that, and then your college selection process. And then y'all gotta tell us how you guys became this podcast, like how it all came together.
Okay.
Um and I saw one thing. What's funny is I saw one of the episodes with Doc.
Yeah.
And man, Doc, man, wow, man. It's crazy now, like, because Doc not the director no more, but just some of the stuff that, because my dad marched with Doc, and I
Oh
remember
wow.
my dad had his own stories about Doc.
Wow.
Yeah, and he said Doc was always laughing, and he didn't call him Doc. It was Liddell. Like my dad, they all call him Liddell. So it was, yeah, it's just a trip. So seeing that episode, it brought back a lot.
Tell
Okay,
some of those stories,
Wow.
Joe.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I actually got a couple of
I
them.
didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah.
I never
didn't-
knew that.
Never knew that.
Yeah. Doc and my dad was in the band together. And I remember, well, one thing I tell y'all real quick. So when we got there, you remember all the stuff that was going on. My dad was mad as hell, boy. He was like, "What is all? Are you what's going on? Like, that is utter." She's like, "I'm gonna call the deal right now." Like, So he called Doc, and I believe that they talked for a good minute about all of that stuff, you know.
Mhm.
And so I remember Doc was like, he talked to me for a little while, and he was like, "Well, first, I marched with your father, you know, and he said he was a better trumpet player than you." And I was just like, "Damn!" Like Doc, he was like, I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "I'm working on it, Doc." You know what I'm saying? And he was like, "Well, we gonna make sure that we clean up everything, but we don't want to have to tell our parents everything. Like, when people come to school, we want to make sure that you growing up. But we don't need to be telling folks everything. Like, So it was like chill. You kind of tattling, like, you going to your dad. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, I got it, Doc. Like, I'll tone it down. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know everything they talked about, but pretty much it was like, oh yeah, everything is fine. That's what that's what I got. That was the word I got. But I think Doc was telling me, yeah, stop telling your daddy
Chill out,
everything.
chill out.
Right.
Chill.
Don't
Right.
embarrass me, young man.
Right.
Let me do my job.
Right. So I got it. I was like, I got it, Doc. All right.
That's awesome.
So Donyale, where are you from?
I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Dirty glove, right there.
Okay. Now, are your folks from Michigan?
Yeah. Yep. My mom is from Ypsilanti. She was born and raised in Ypsilanti and moved to Detroit when she was a kid.
Okay.
My dad's from Detroit.
Okay. All right.
Look at the face. He's Detroit.
Yeah.
Terrell, where are you from?
Born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi, my good sir.
Okay. All right. And your
Um,
folks and family are from Mississippi?
so no, my mom is from Mississippi. My mom is from Tylertown, Mississippi. She left Tylertown, moved to Jackson to go to Jackson State, and my dad is from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He got recruited to come to Jackson State to play football, and my dad and my mom met at JSU. So dad is from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. My mom is from Tylertown, Mississippi.
Okay. Okay. That's what's up.
Mhm.
And Toby, where are you from?
So I'm a military brat. So where I was born don't count. I was born in in Monterey, California. But my
What?
mom and dad are both from Central Mississippi. My mom, Stankin Rankin, Brandon, Mississippi, where I grew up most of my life. Went to high school, graduated high school, and my dad, he's from born in Southside Chicago. Grew up in Georgetown, Jackson. Graduated from Lanier High School. He 833 through
Wow.
and through. He did a couple years at Jackson State before he went into the military and did the Vietnam thing. Didn't graduate from Jackson State, but he was there, so he's true blue JSU as well. I grew up in Brandon, graduated from Brandon High School, and then attended Jackson State University. So yeah, Central Mississippi, that's home.
Okay. Okay. Now, Danielle, where did you go to high school there in Detroit?
So I attended Pershing High School. That's on the east side of Detroit, 7 Mile and Ryan Road. Shout out the Doughboys. Um, yeah, but that's where I went to school. I actually went to school on the opposite side, you could say, of where I lived. So it took me about an hour and a half to get to school in the morning,
Wow.
catching the public transportation.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
You
Wow.
really wanted education.
there at that school for whatever reason. Jay Dilla in Slum Village went to Pershing High School.
What?
Yes.
Get
So
out of
I
here.
don't know if they had not with me. They may have been there. They may have graduated a few years, like a couple years before I did. They're like
Get out.
Mhm.
73, 74, 75, born
Okay.
around then,
Mhm.
Wow.
hmm
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
get that right. Not graduated 74. So they was born 74 because that make us like
Yeah, they're a couple years older than
yeah,
us.
yeah.
Okay.
3, 4 years,
Yeah,
5 maybe.
yeah, 4, 5.
Okay. And then Terrell, where did you go to high school?
I went to Callaway, 601 Beasley Road, Robert M. Callaway High School. Shout out to all my Seaway Chargers. That's where I went to school in Jackson,
Okay.
Mississippi.
Okay. So like the majority, my dad's from Jackson. So they all went to Jim Hill because that's where they lived.
Hmm.
But then all of my cousins, all of, you know, the kids, our generation, most of them all went to Callaway. Um,
Mm.
so I always, when I would go to Jackson, we went to Jackson every year, summer and Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
And so everyone was talking about the Charger Funk.
Yeah.
I would see the Chargers, and so um, I always knew about Callaway. Um, you know, just growing up, I had one cousin that went to Provine, but that was it. And it's like 20 of us, and
Mm.
they all went to. I'm sure you probably know a lot of my family, but I believe Mr. Mitchell was the band director for most of that time, like because a lot of them were in the band.
Mm.
And so Mr. Mitchell, and now our own Curtis, is he still the band director there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
CB.
Yep. 98. He 98.
98. Boy,
Great
Yeah.
man,
I mean,
The great 98, man.
yeah.
I could do
All
a
of those
whole
things.
show
On 98.
about Donyale and them, man. Like, oh my God.
You
Okay.
should. You should get some of us on.
I,
Ooh, that
I
would be ooh.
that would be dope,
Yeah.
man.
98
That was
show.
dope.
And
Yes.
It's a whole bunch of
Curtis,
characters. It's a whole bunch of
Vision.
characters.
oh my
All of
God.
them are some
Curtis used
characters.
to sit next to me and be he would be scared and but he was playing like he was cranking, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes I would look over at him and I would be like, boy, and that was you. And I was, if that was you, and he would be like, no, no.
I'm not that good. I'm not that good.
Right. Nope.
I was
No.
like, no, that's good, man. That's you. If that was you, that was you, right? He's like, no, that still wasn't me. And I was, oh my God, that was so funny. Okay.
That
All
sound
right.
like it.
Yeah. So, okay. So, what would you say, Donyale, was your first HBCU experience?
My first HBCU experience.
Yeah.
Um.
It can be
Okay.
band related because a lot of them mostly are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would. Okay. I would say my first HBCU experience that I can remember is when in high school we went to my band director took the band to um, Tennessee State. They played
Mhm.
FAMU in their stadium, and that was the first time I'd seen an HBCU band in person. Um, that wasn't my first like experience. Like it was certainly band related. My first HBCU experience was band related. So like the
Mhm.
first time I saw an HBCU band was on a VHS tape,
Nice.
big, cassette tape. Um, but actually live and in person, and I believe this was maybe my sophomore year in high school. We went to Tennessee State, and we didn't march in a parade or anything. He just took us there for the experience. We met some of the band members and things like that, but it was just a band trip basically. And he took a
Oh,
group
okay.
of us down there. But yeah, it was my first experience, and I didn't walk away wanting to go to either of those schools. um, Tennessee State actually, for I'm not really sure why to this day, but I thought about them. But it was dope. It was a great experience. I walked away knowing I wanted to be in a college,
Right.
like I wanted to be in a college marching band for sure. It was exciting. But yeah, that was my first experience. And it changed my life, I guess you could say.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Toby, what would you say was your first HBCU experience?
A little bit different from Donyale. And we've talked about this on the show like countless of times. My sister, she happened to be the first female snare drum player in the Sonic Booms. First, War and Thunder. And I was maybe fourth grade when that all transpired. But a year before that, my dad, he would take me to a couple of Jackson State games a year, and my uncle, Uncle Larry, shout out to Uncle Larry, he would take me. And I remember my mom, she she had this vision of my sister playing snare drum when she was at Lanier. My sister went to Lanier; she's 833 as well, and
Okay.
she had a vision of her playing snare drum at Jackson State, and she took us to Grambling in 1988. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and I remember that was the first time I was sitting there with my mom and my sister, and the boom played "Piece of My Love," and I remember the tubas dropping, dun 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 dun. And I don't know what it was, but it was a connection with me and what the band was playing at that time. And I
Uh-huh.
knew I wanted to do that.
Right.
And everything after that connected me to Jackson State University. It was never a doubt in my mind that I was going to Jackson State University. Um, the My sister marched in '89, and then in '90, after she was like she had already crossed her section and she was in the band, she would check me out of school like in the middle of the day and bring me on campus, and I would see
Wow.
people stepping on the yard, and then she would take me to practice, and I was in the drum room, and I would
Wow.
see people like I was around it for a minute, a couple years while my sister was doing that thing, and it was like this is something that I wanted to do. So like high school band, middle school band, it was all I'm going through this. I'm not liking this, but I'm doing this because I want to be a part of the Sonic Boom of the South.
Right.
And because I know that's gonna be fun and that's gonna be great, and I'm gonna be a part of something that's outstanding. So yeah, shout out to all those people that played a part in that. My dad, my mom, my sister, they just I kind of grew up in that world, and that's something that I always want to be a part of.
That's pretty dope. So speaking of folks, my cousin, I had one of my cousins was a crab at 89.
Hmm.
So they probably know each other. His name Candace Beard. Um,
I've heard that name.
okay, yeah, yeah. Candace Beard, she was 89. She played flute.
Hmm.
And then her little brother Jeff, but he's Charles Jr.
Hmm.
He was 90.
Hmm.
And he was funk. And I actually interviewed him on the show because he went to Motown 30.
Right.
And then also y'all know Carl
Sean
Cunningham.
Cunningham. Yeah.
He was 89, I believe.
Hmm.
And so I've talked to him. He's out here in LA a lot because his
His
brother's out
brother.
here. Yeah, yeah. So I see it. I
Carl's
see
not 91, 92.
who Carl?
91.
91, because he went through he went through the whole transition from Taylor
Dow
to
Taylor, the
Dr.
doc.
Lake. Yeah, and that 1 year with Duplessis. So yeah, he,
Okay,
he he went through all that. So yeah, he's around.
okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. Terrell.
Yo, what's
Uh,
happening? I had some technical difficulties. I don't know
no,
what
that's
happened. I'm
cool.
back though. I'm
That's
good. I'm
cool.
here.
Yeah, we was able to slide you back in.
Right, right,
So,
right.
what was your first HBCU experience?
Oh man, it goes all the way back to being a little kid. And when I say a little kid, I would probably say, man, as far back as I can remember, I probably was 9, 8, 9 or something like that. My dad played football at Jackson State. He was there from 72 to I don't know. He got there in 72, if I'm not mistaken. 70 or 72. But he was there when Walter Payton was there, and that's like a story that he's always told over the years. And it's crazy how now I've tell the story about the Walter Payton thing. But we would go to football games, and that was my first HBCU experience going to football games as a little bitty kid. I'm in the vet as a little bitty kid. packed stadium. We talking packed stadium. And I'm over there as a little kid watching the boom. We talking, this was like 87, 88, somewhere around up in there. And I said to myself, I'm going to be in that band.
Mhm.
I wasn't even playing the instrument yet because I didn't start playing the instrument until I got to sixth grade. So my first HBCU experience was my parents. Were my parents, and my dad being an alumni, played at Jackson State, played football, and my mom being an alumni, graduate from Jackson State. So that it was always JSU in the house. And then when I finally got a chance to get out and go to a game, and I remember just being in the stadium, man, it was the craziest thing ever. I used to want to get nachos and chips and hot dogs and stuff from the concession stand. My mama would be like, "No, sir, we're gonna take our own concession stand. This is where you can bring bags in." And my mama would get this little canister. She would warm the cheese up. It's whole deep. It's deep. Like I'm thinking about it. She would warm the cheese up and she would get the chips. And when it was time to eat, she would open the bag up and bam, I got nachos and cheese right there at the game. So that was my first HBCU experience. Had to been like I was like 7, 8, 9 years old. My mom can probably tell me exactly how I was, but that was my first HBCU experience that I can recall.
Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, y'all definitely related to those, with y'all being right there, Toby and Terrell. I'm similar with Donyale because my dad marched in the band. So we were lucky because the boom came to Memphis every year. And Memphis ain't that far of a drive from St. Louis. So we went to Memphis like every year.
Yeah.
And then if they would go to Indianapolis, that was just like 4 hours away. We could go there. And then if they
Circuit
went to
City Classic,
Chicago,
right?
yeah. And if they went to Chicago, we would be there. But we saw the boom every year.
Mm-hmm.
It was a way for my dad to still see the band, but also to keep seeing his brothers and sisters. Because my dad was the only one that moved out of Jackson.
Mhm.
And so, he tried his best to keep going back, to see everybody and everything. But he definitely, I mean, from birth, my dad wanted me to go to Jackson State.
That's
Of
crazy.
course. Of
Yeah.
course.
But I didn't. I think I don't know if I ever told y'all, but I
Tell us
was
that,
at
because I'm going through this right now with my son. So like,
okay. All
because
right.
I
So
want him to go, and
right.
he's fighting it, but I can see that he wants, but he's fighting it.
Yeah. I'm glad that I did because it would have any other way would have sucked because and I don't have to say this to y'all, but just for
Mhm.
everyone who's not Jackson State watching this, our
Yeah.
program has been consistent for years. Like we ain't knock on wood, we ain't fell off. Like you know what
Right.
I'm saying? I wanted to go to Hampton first, and I got kicked out for smoking weed at the summer program. I wasn't even in school yet.
Wait.
Yes,
I didn't know that.
they
Right.
were zero tolerance for drugs. They had this story, Kimba's Nightmare,
Mhm.
and it was this girl that got caught with drugs. She met some guy from Jamaica, and he was from New York, and she was muling drugs up and down the East Coast from Hampton, and she was in prison with the whole 3 strikes with the
Mhm.
Clintons and all of that. And so she got like 24 years in prison or something. She got caught with,
Wow.
yes, and was
Jeez.
pregnant like right
Pounds.
before she went.
Okay, they keep adding stuff to it. Okay.
Right.
Right.
So they put this, it was in her story was in this magazine, and it was part of our freshman packet. So when they brought us all in there, they were like, you better not smoke weed at Hampton. God damn it. Like they were like, this is horrible. Look what happened to this girl. And I was like, yeah, that's not gonna be me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I got caught with it in the dorm, and they sent me home. My dad was in Jackson, and he had to, oh my God, he had to go to St. Louis to pick up my mom to drive to Virginia to come get me.
Oh.
Boy, they were upset. All right.
I bet.
And so the funny thing was that my dad was like, he was mad, but part of him was like, well, I guess you got to go to Jackson State now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
get it. I would have been that way.
Right.
Like,
So I was
high five.
like,
Well,
nah, I don't want to go to Jackson State. So I went to Johnson C. Smith in Charlotte because my mother's from Charlotte. And I thought that was going to be still East Coast because I wanted to be on the East Coast. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And the band was probably like 40 people. I mean,
Was Goldberg there?
that's how I met Chris Jones. Chris
Mhm.
Jones was,
He said his government name.
Yeah.
yes, Chris was about, he was like 25, 24. And that's how Smith was. It was so small that people kind of stayed around and marched after they finished, or, you know, they were just older. And so I met him. But again, we had to then ask people from the high school, depending on the game, to come march with us. So we had 4 trumpet players. And I was like, oh man, you know. Then one weekend, this high school came and crunk on us. Dudley High School from Greensboro. They were right next to A&T. And you know how the high school be just like the college. I mean,
Mhm.
they might as well be an A&T. And they came to Charlotte and crunk on us. It was bad. And I was like, oh man, this is good. Meantime, my dad was sending me pictures of the Jackson State games every week. And he was like, look how many people at this game, son. And how many people at your game? And it would be like 40 people at our game. You know what I'm saying?
That's awful.
And
How
after that, I was like,
yeah, I've been there.
Dad, I'm
Petty wrestling.
I was like, yeah, Dad, I'm going, man. After this, I said, I'm finally going. He's yes, like, you know. So that's how I ended up at Jackson State. I just tried not to go, but something kept pushing me there.
it
So
was
that's
designed.
something that we've always been talking about is the art of pedagogy.
Yes,
The art of pedagogy is the art of just like not being like mean, but like we telling you the truth. At the same time, we telling you the truth when you're wrong. And your dad had that art of pedagogy because that's taught at Jackson State. Like soon as you do anything at Jackson State, hey, pedagogy. Like you're gonna be petty when somebody is wrong in that moment.
right.
But I'm also gonna be petty with Hampton because they kicked you out, and now they got a whole degree in medical marijuana.
Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy?
I just looked it up. Like, they got a whole degree.
Like I was just like, just over the years, how like they changed with a lot of stuff, and like they were so that woman in that story, I think she got pardoned by one of the presidents. So this was after, so it had to be somebody after whoever somebody pardoned her because they said the rules were like way too hard. So she got out and she's like a lawyer now. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, I'll never forget that story and how they were like zero tolerance. But when I look back on it, Smith has tried to rebuild their program like every year, and Hampton's the same thing. But us,
Was
we've been,
consistent.
you know, and so then even this past the winter in January, you know, the boom came out here. My family got to see it all. So I'm definitely glad I went to Jackson State, even though I tried not to go. So
Shame
hope
on you.
I know it'll be the same for your son, Toby, if he tried to go somewhere else, man.
So tell me, how long did it take you to figure out your dad was right?
Well, when that high school came and crunk on us,
Like, oh,
That was it.
that was it.
aha,
That was it. I
aha
mean, I
moment.
was holding on, but with the 4 trumpets, I was like, oh man, this is not good. And then when we had to have high school kids come march with us for like the South Carolina State game was the biggest game of the season.
Mhm.
And we had 9 trumpets and 5 of them was in high. Well, no, 3 of them were in high school. And then y'all know Avery, his cousin went to Jackson State. So
Mhm.
we had 2 alumni come back. And yeah, I was like, I don't think I could do another year of this. So
So
I
like your
told him,
crab
right.
year, like when you sitting up in there, how many trumpets was it at Jackson State your crab year?
Well, it was 11 crabs, and then it was about 22 upperclassmen.
So because you was like, I don't know, like I'm not Trump phone, but I remember being in WT and everybody talking about like the generation of, because you was there before us, so you marched with like Sean Kemp. He's like the legend. And and you
Yeah,
got 22 and then 11, so it's 33, 34. You guys,
yeah,
like that's the trumpet section that everybody was talking about in
Mhm.
98. That 97 trumpet line was like boom. So
yeah.
you come up in there and you playing. What was the biggest difference? And like I'm not trying to switch this, like, but it's just a conversation about Trump funk right now. Like, how did it feel coming in there where you coming from a trumpet, two trumpet sections that were struggling, to a trumpet section that was dominating?
It was
That was
comfortable.
modern. That was you modern day, like NIL. You like
Yeah,
you switching schools and stuff like that. So like that the transfer portal. You another one. You were in the transfer portal. You
right.
transferred up. So like, how did that feel? Like that? Hey, it ain't all on me. It's
It
everybody.
was
It's a
it
team.
was comfort.
Mhm.
Okay. But then I realized that I wasn't ever around people who were better than me,
Mm.
consistently better than me. Because my high school, because St. Louis, see, Donyale, you were at Detroit, but there was that huge HBCU flavor.
Mhm.
Because
Right.
Detroit folks is everywhere. They
Yeah.
HBC, right. We didn't, that it ain't like that in St. Louis. So my high school was not like that. I was the best trumpet player there too, but it was, I mean, it was a small high school. So it was the first time I was around people who were better and I could actually learn. I actually found out I was playing on a bad mouthpiece. I
Mhm.
didn't I didn't know, and I was playing on it for years. And Maurice Bailey. I don't know
Ah,
Maurice.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
oh, no
Shout out
doubt.
Maurice.
Yes. Boy, what's wrong with your tone? That's what he said. What's wrong with why does it sound like that? He
Why you
said,
sound
give me
like
your
him?
mouthpiece. And he said, what is this? And I say, I don't, it's a mouthpiece, sir. And
Sorry.
why don't you have a 3C? And I was like, um, I don't, I don't know. And he said, right now, I want you to go to the get a 3C right now. That was Maurice.
Go to
Mhm.
Mississippi
So,
Music, get you a
Mhm.
3C.
Right
all
now.
right.
Right
Okay.
now.
And then Fat Nasty. Y'all know Derek? Yeah, Derek.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He said, do you know all uh 12 major scales? And I was like, no, like I could play them. He said, do you have a memorized, son? No, no, like that. Because Avery, Troy, and Damien, they were the other first,
Mhm.
but I mean, they were cold. Uh Ron was cold. I
Mhm.
mean, it was,
Ron
but they
Duke.
started seeing that like I was just super loud. You know what I'm saying? Um, and then they were like, "Well, have you played out the Arbin's book? Hey, why don't we go? Why don't you take Joe to the practice rooms?" And then I would go in there, and these Negroes was like in the book. Oh, I played this in high school, and I was like, "Oh man!" So it
Here
was
we go.
comfort, but then it took me down where it was like I got to start over from scratch, basically.
Wow.
You know, because a lot of the practicing I did was uh it was like Jackson State would come on, y'all know it came on BET,
PT, yeah.
Mhm.
and I would watch the VHS and I would sit there and try to figure out the notes to blowing and the songs they were playing, and that's how I was, but I was loud, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't know any scales or anything like that. Like for what?
Joe, I never knew
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like
Ah,
what am I playing? What am I
aha.
playing? Some Jackson State don't be playing those scales. I ain't never heard them do that.
I
Down
never
the
knew
50-yard
that.
line,
I
play the B
wouldn't have
flat.
known.
I turn that.
So your freshman year was you basically rebuilding
Everything,
everything.
everything.
Wow. I wouldn't have known that.
So after that first year, I was in the symphonic band, or I was in the concert band, because symphonic band was like the really good players. And I had to start learning that type of music. And I'll never forget. I think there was a song Tritico or something.
Ooh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and Doc was directing. And Doc seemed to, because well, my dad, man, he was just always expecting me to just be a lot better than what I was. And there was a part on the song, and I came in at the wrong time, and Doc kicked the little podium that was in front of
The
he
blue and white metal one.
yes. He kicked it. And y'all remember Tony Rice.
Mhm.
Tony played. He scooted away from me and he went like this. And it was so quiet. I felt like I was thinking about quitting, like right there. It was so bad.
Ooh.
And so I was like, I gotta go home and practice this summer. Like every day, probably like 12 hours. I gotta like go over everything. And so right before we left, Doc kicked everybody out the band.
Heard about that.
Oh,
That's a legendary story.
He kicked everybody out. And so when we got back, we were like, well, we got not gonna be the same. And I just felt like, man, people gonna start singling me out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be bad. So I practiced all summer, man. Like I practiced hard because it was like fear if I came back. And I was on scholarship. So I
Mhm.
couldn't
Ah,
quit.
nope.
Yeah. I couldn't
That's your
quit.
way to school. That's your
Yeah.
way to school.
Yeah. And my dad would have been crushed if I
Mhm.
quit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just practiced. But I'm
Yeah.
glad that it happened because I at least had something. I knew what to practice. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Like practice marches and all of that. I had never played any marches for what? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what happened. And then you guys got there and there was pressure, but people were just upset that our numbers were different.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mm,
So you guys remember we played FAM in 98
Mhm.
yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
and we went to go to their hotel and we talked to a lot of people from them and they were like, man, y'all were good, man. Like y'all sounded really good. And we were like, what really? Like, because we were so used to the numbers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then that's when things started kind of changing where it was like, okay, like we're pretty respectable. We just don't have a lot of the same numbers. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
We
saying?
trained really hard to try
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
support what y'all, what the upperclassmen group,
Hmm.
like it was, I don't remember, 20 of y'all. And then we ended
Yeah.
up, people ended up leaving and all of that good stuff. But yeah, we trained really, really hard to support y'all as a freshman class.
And
So
y'all were good.
mhm.
But the other foolishness stuff was
Mhm.
kind of our forte.
Yeah.
Trump funk.
I recall. I
So
remember.
Look,
98, man, y'all got the most respect out of anybody.
Thank you,
Cause
sir. We
I
appreciate
appreciate
that.
Thank
that.
you.
Saying
cause
that, I appreciate you saying that out loud.
Yeah.
because it's the
Definitely.
truth.
All
There
right.
was before y'all got here, there was a lot of fear because of what Doc did, and people were angry. And people said, well, I don't want to march no more. Or I don't know. But then people were like, no, you got to show up. We don't have nobody. So it was a lot of pressure on y'all class to kind of help fill a lot of the gaps.
Mhm.
And y'all were good, but
Yeah.
we didn't start realizing that we actually were a really good band until like FAMS told us, Pine Bluff told us. There were people that, because we ain't had the internet and all of that stuff like that back then.
Uh,
But if somebody came to town, we found the hotel they were at, and then we would go and they would tell us what was going on.
Well, we did have the internet, Joe, and I just want to remind you about when Doc came in front of the band.
When he
Oh,
found out
that's
about the internet,
right.
when he found
Because
out
we
about the internet,
had because we had a page. It was on like Angel Fire, right? But there was like a message board
Swag
That the
fans.
Sonic Boom.
Yes.
No, it wasn't Swag
That was
fans. It
before
was
swag
it
fans.
was a message
Before Swag
board that
fans,
was
yeah.
only like it was just a Jackson
Oh,
State like
just
Sonic
okay.
Boom
For
Oh yeah, yeah,
parents and
yeah.
message
stuff.
board, right? It
Yes.
was just a page where people
I
would just
remember that.
post and it was like never ending. So, now you have forums, you have little rooms and
Mhm.
discussions you can go in and stuff. That was SWAC fans. Then
Right.
it was just a never ending chain. And you could like reply to somebody's comment, but it was never ending. You just had to scroll forever to see like what people were talking about. But that's what happened. That's what was going on then. That was like the beginning of like message boards and stuff. And
Mhm.
Doc
Right.
came in front of the band and was like, "Look, y'all on the internet."
All I see is
Oh, he might have said he could have said the
oh.
World Wide Web, but
Right.
he said he was like,
Yo.
right, all I see is, and he was just all of the vulgarities. He just
Yeah.
all
Yes,
I see
yeah.
is this, that, this, that.
That is a
Oh
better
man,
term. Yeah.
off. He
Yes.
was so
He was so
mad,
bad.
Yes.
and I
remember
was
that.
I
like, wow. So I never. We were like, we would be like kind of like just scrolling and seeing comments, but we dared to like me and Isaac Black, we dared to comment, but like we would be like, yo, we discovered it just geeking out trying to find whatever
Yeah.
Jackson State Sonic
right.
Boom stuff we could on the internet. So yeah, it was crazy. Doc came in there and went in about it, and I don't know if it shut down or what. I wonder if we could find it.
I'm gonna
That's
tell you,
Who
that
needs to
night was
visit
my
point.
that?
night where I discovered the internet.
You were like, what is he even talking
I
about?
don't know what are you talking about. And I
Yeah.
went to like
You had
Carlton.
you had to go. We had to go to
And
the
they were
computer
like,
lab.
let's go. Like, and
Yeah.
then I financed me a Dell like maybe a week later than that.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was literally like Angel
Yeah.
Fire dot. I don't even know. It was just
It
some
was
random
something.
site we found, and it was like I don't know who from the actual band was in that chat, but it was people from all over,
Mhm.
like other schools, fam,
Mhm.
Southern. Like it was
Yes.
the
Mhm.
only thing that people had to like talk stuff on, talk mess. You know what I mean? Back and forth with they, rivals or whatnot. It
I'm
was it
glad you
was a
brought that
time.
up.
Yeah,
I'm
it was a
glad you
time.
brought that up because yes, you are exactly correct.
Yeah.
So Gerard Howard then took the idea and he went to this engineering camp or engineering something, and he met Christy Walker. So Christy Walker does the
Mm-hmm.
show, and her and this guy Mike Lee, they were already kind of having that same conversation, and
Mm-hmm.
then that's when the fifth quarter started.
Yeah.
So Gerard, even though he wasn't with Christy and Mike when they did it, he met them and was having the same band conversation and telling them what happened because they didn't know what happened about the guest book at Jackson State.
Mm-hmm. That's what it
Gerard
was. That
told
what
them
it was. A guest book.
it was the
Mm-hmm.
guest book, and they were like, "You right." Doc told us this is for like parents and people, but people and people were like super vulgar on there.
It
Y'all,
was like today then. Like people were just
Yep.
going off like
right?
about whatever topic they wanted to in respect to band world, HBCU band world. It was a time to say the
Yes,
least.
It
yes.
was.
And then
Yeah.
that's when the fifth quarter
But
started.
that's where it was
Yeah.
kind of birthed from. Like we need something a little more organized.
Right.
Like
Mhm.
the engineering camp, I
1998.
didn't even know that. I didn't even know about the engineering camp or whatever, the IT camp or whatever it was.
Yep, yep. That's where Gerard went because Gerard's super smart. He does a lot
Mhm.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's when all of that stuff birthed. It was 1998. That's
Mhm.
another thing for y'all. You know what I'm saying?
There it is.
It was a
Uh,
switch,
Yep.
man. It was a switch in the culture.
yep,
Mhm.
yep. Okay, um, so that takes me to I gotta ask y'all how your college selection process was like. What was that like? Like, how did you end up at Jackson State? So, Donyale, I'll start with you. How was that selection process for you?
Well, it all started, like I said, like I didn't know about as far as like what HBCU band, marching band, college, marching band was about until high school. So, um, even though I was in band, but middle school I had no idea. Like I didn't really, I wasn't really a part of any. I didn't go to any. I went to several middle schools, right? But I
Okay.
didn't go to any middle school that had a band except for one, and it was Durfee, and they had a HBCU marching band style, right? That they got from Central High School, which was right next door. Their band director, I wanted to say, went to Central Michigan. I mean, sorry, Central State in Ohio. I want to
Okay.
say, and so they emulated them, right? And so we emulated Central because we were right next door to them, and we were their feeder school. So we had a pretty good middle school band, and I wanted to play the instrument. I wanted to be a musician, right? And the reason is because the band director in middle school at Durfee Middle School went and picked out, people who had good grades, pretty much, right? So I got in the band. I chose trombone. He was like, I don't think we had trombones actually, but we had some good instrumentation for a middle school band, but we did not have trombones. I don't want to say. I want to say, or he told me it was a instrument for boys. Either
Oh
way,
wow.
right?
Stop.
So I chose trumpet, and he said, "Well, boys play trumpet and girls play cornet. It's just a little different, right?" And so it's a smaller, it's more compact horn, right? And so I didn't know the difference. You know what I mean? So cool. I'm playing trumpet as far as I knew, but I played cornet starting out. So that's where I started in terms of like the that style of like marching band of band, right? We had uniforms, capes. It was a whole thing. Um, in middle school. And we had several middle school bands actually in Detroit that were good and that did emulate the HBCU marching style. So from there, just to get back to high school, right? But that was my first experience of like marching show style
Hmm.
marching band was in middle school. And that was the first year that I played trumpet. So I had to get ready really fast. The section leader was like one of my good friends. He played trumpet, so he practiced with me several times a week. I got good enough to beat him in first chair, and that lasted for like a week till he beat me out in first chair. But that's how like ambitious I was to like be good. You know what I mean? I wanted
Hmm.
to be good. So get to high school, and I end up watching a band tape. We end up somehow watching the band tape. We had a couple of people that went to um, college marching band and would come back and share, you know what I mean, stories and band tapes and things like that. And there was this one band tape, and I don't know what battle of the bands it was, but there was this band tape that I saw, and there were it, about 6 to 8 bands that were battling, right, at the stadium. And so it was like Pine Bluff, Alabama State. It was just a bunch of different bands. And Jackson State was one of them, but they were kind of just in the mix. You know what I mean? They were in the mix, and I didn't, I couldn't tell the difference. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a distinctive thing for me. It was my introduction to it. So I ended up um, watching or finding out, right, that Jackson State and Tennessee State, the game was going to be on BET. Right, this is in
Hmm.
'95, '96. So um, of course it was 95, so naturally I'm like, we sitting around the TV watching. You know what I mean? This
Hmm.
game on BET live. They used to cover a lot of the halftime shows then.
Yep.
In Jackson State, it was Tennessee State and Jackson State, but Jackson State stood out to me, and this was my junior sophomore year going into junior year. And so Jackson State stood out to me, and I'm like, man, I really like that school. I'm gonna start looking more into it. You know what I mean? So ended up not really making a decision, but I felt like I knew what I wanted to do. So, but it was kind of between Jackson State and Tennessee State in the beginning, because
Mm.
those were the two schools. I had been to Tennessee State, you know what I mean, before. And so it was like, okay, I like those two schools. I like how the band sound. I like, but Jackson State still stood out to me. The following year is when I knew for sure I wanted to go to Jackson State. And I don't know, why did I want to go? Why did I choose Jackson State? It was the funkiness. It was how they looked. It was how they sounded. It was seeing, I don't know, it was something different about just, even seeing Doc or Paul Adams up on the ladder. It was different than Tennessee State. Whatever the case, like it just it touched me. It felt more like what I wanted to be a part of. And that's crazy because y'all were having the same thoughts years before I had. I always come back to that, Terrell and Toby, because, and even Joe, because y'all always have y'all from childhood. You know what I mean? So me making that decision in like 2 years, and we end up in the same place is
Yeah.
wild. But
You gifted, girl.
yeah. So ended up, thank you. So ends up, it turns out I ended up going to Delaware State's band camp 2 years in a row. Um,
Wow, really?
yeah, because so it was the saxophone section leader from my high school and the trumpet section leader from my high school in 96. They graduated high school in 96, went to Delaware State. And the band director came to audition students. So at that time, I don't know. I think I might have asked if I could come to band camp, and he was like, "You want to come to band camp?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Okay, you can come to band camp. Like you gotta get your own way there and this and that, but like we'll figure it out." So I ended up going to band camp in '96, and learned like marching. Um, I forget the name of the book, but the marching band fundamentals. You know what I mean? I learned how a college band works. You know what I mean? How often they practice. We up early in the morning on the on the practice field.
Hmm.
There wasn't a lot of the foolishness going on there, so I didn't have that to deal with for real. But they were wondering why I was there, and I told them I just asked him if I can come, and he said yeah, so I came. And I had my friends there who protected me, you know what I mean, and who I could rely on, you know what I mean, for whatever, the teaching me the ropes, learning and whatnot. Um, I probably I stayed on the yard too. I stayed in the dorm
Mm,
with with my best friend who played trumpet. And that following year, I did the same thing. I went to their band camp, but by then, even when I went in '96, I told them that I was coming, and that's why they allowed me to come back
mhm.
in '97. But I knew that I was going to Jackson State. I
Mhm.
just wanted that experience and that, that
Right.
to that training and to be in that atmosphere again and take it in. So, but yeah, definitely by '97, I knew I was going to Jackson State, and Isaac and I went to our guidance counselor, Mr. Ghoston, Coach Ghoston, and I told him I wanted to go to Jackson State, and he pulled out, it was this cream packet. It was a booklet. He pulled out this packet like, oh, okay, here you go, and handed me the application. It was like a cream packet. It had Jackson State University and the logo on it and everything. Everything was in it, even if a application for the band even. I don't know how legit that was because I still think I had to contact Doc directly.
Right.
But
Seen the
but
back end of that.
yeah, for sure. But it was all in the packet. So, sent it off and everything. But my decision ultimately was I heard about the music program from, uh from my band director actually. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a band director at the time, and
Hmm.
heard about the music program, and definitely the band, sounding amazing helped. So yeah, that's how I made my decision. I rode the HBCU marching band wave until I was like, nah, okay, I know what I want to do. That's where I want to
Hmm.
go. That's where I want to be. And I had friends in Detroit that were going to all different schools. They were going to Tennessee State. They were going to Southern. They had, Alabama State, Pine Bluff, Lane. Like I have friends at like a lot of different HBCUs. Um, but here we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Choose Jackson State. I did. That's what I
Hey,
mean.
Right.
That's what I must say.
And I don't know what it is about Detroit, but y'all are everywhere. Like every school. I'm in Redlands is about an hour from LA where I live. Not a whole lot of black people. A small town. I go to this gym. I see another black dude. Usually, black dudes, people out here, they see each other. We speak to each other. Like, hey, how
right.
you doing, brother? Met this guy, talked to him, and I was like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "I'm from Detroit." I was like, "What? What are you doing out here?" Like, I can't remember what. I think he said that he was. His brother went to Mumford. That's what he said.
Wow. Mhm.
And I was like, damn, I know. It's like I'm not from Detroit, but I know a lot of high schools.
Yeah, we know a lot about
Mhm.
Detroit. Just
Right,
Jones, Jackson State.
right,
Where's on the glove? Where's on the glove?
right.
Right.
So y'all are everywhere. Even when I go to like conferences where it's a lot of bro, they all from Detroit. It's just
Yeah.
like, damn, y'all everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It
Okay, so yeah, so that's what's up. Okay, Terrell, same question. What was your college selection process like?
Man, mine was so being from Jackson, we right there. We see the boom. We see Jackson State. We see, we right there in the city. And then of course my mom and dad played a
Right.
huge role into that. I had one college that I had on my brain, and that college was the other college was Texas Southern. That was a kind of a maybe
Really?
probably, yeah, Texas Southern, believe it or not, because they offered me a scholarship. Now
Okay.
Jackson State offered a scholarship, and so did Texas Southern. So I was trying to go with I'm like, okay, do I go to Texas Southern? Of course I don't go to Texas Southern. And that was an easy, quick, saying. So being it, so middle school, high school, boom. So high school, Callaway High School, Mr. Joe Mitchell and Doc were friends. They were buddies. So
Mhm.
Doc used to come to Callaway all of the time, and a lot of Callaway students went to Jackson State, and then they would come back to the high school to visit and to talk about the boom. And man, you got to come to the boom. You got to come to the boom. So it was like my mom and dad, then me living in Jackson and just seeing Jackson State, going to the parades, and we were always like fanning over. Jackson State was the boom was were celebrities to us, and so that was it, man. I mean, mine was just like, okay, I was engulfed in it. Doc was there seeing us, and Doc was kind of like recruiting us. Like he kind of came by and hung
Mhm.
out and just sat and listen to us play. And then some of us made all city, and Doc was one of our I don't know if he was a judge. I don't remember exactly. I think Doc was a judge at one of the all cities, and he judged one of us, and he judged us, and we some of us that made all city. Doc was like, "Yeah, you coming to the boom." It was like that was like automatic. We were like, "Cool," we wanted to go anyway. So it was a lot of us that were from Jackson that went to Callaway. We were like, "We are going to the boom." So it was so many different layers for me. It was so many different layers, and I had already in my mind, I was like, "Man, I'm not going anywhere else. I'm going to
Mhm.
Jackson State." Now, here's something funny about that. My mom wanted me to go to a branch of military. My mom wanted me to go to the military because I didn't know what my major was going to be at that
Okay.
time. And then my mama was like, "So what you gonna major in when you go to college?" I said, "I don't know, but I know I'm gonna march in the band.
Right.
School will happen at some. I mean, I
Right.
figure it out. I mean, I can
Right.
add, but I'm gonna march in this band. So,
Right.
like, no, you need to have a career option choice for when you graduate." So I was like, "I figured it out, mom, and I'm going to Jackson State." So that was it. Joe Mitchell, Doc being there as Joe Mitchell's friend and recruiting us and just coming by, and then all my friends and our older bandmates and schoolmates that had gone to Jackson State, and they would come back, and then they would tell us all these wonderful things about Jackson State, like, "Man, the boom is this. You gotta come to the boom. We're gonna be waiting on you," and all that. So that was it. That was it. So it was boom and band related only.
Mhm.
That was it. I figured out my major later on, thanks to Doc. Doc was the one that helped me pick my major. But I figured out my major later on, but it was all band and boom related. That was it. And it was just in my blood. Like I told you, 7 years old, 8, 9 years old, 7, 8 or 9 years old, I knew I was going to be in the band. And I wasn't even playing the instrument at the time. So that's me.
Yeah, that's dope, man. I was very similar as far as I wasn't tripping about the major either. It's like,
Yeah.
Like,
uh,
figure it out when we get there.
right. So I picked music, and
Mm.
when I got to Jackson State, I remember like trying to pick my classes for a music major, and one of them was like piano. And I was like, play like the piano, really? Like I'm gonna learn how to play the piano. I had no idea the connection of piano and music.
Mm.
And I had music theory. Do y'all remember? Is it Dr. Thomas?
Russell
The
Thomas. Yes.
Yeah.
Russell
Yeah.
Thomas.
Reason why
Mhm.
I'm not a band director right now.
Yeah. Me too. He scared me, and he was like, "That's my job to just basically, you know,
Clear out the
eat
music
out."
Clear out
department.
the weed.
We did-
Right.
Absolutely.
it worked.
So he gave me our final. He gave us 2 sheets of music. One of them was like Cheesecake. I remember that name, and something else. And I remember everybody knew what was going on except me. And I go up to him and I said, um, is there a I said, is there a trumpet part for this? Like, I didn't know what he was giving it to us for. He said, you're going to be playing this on the piano. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know how to play the piano. And he was like, he just put his head in his head like this.
Oh God.
And he's like, yeah, that's the point. That's what he said. And I was like, damn, he's kind of mean. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I remember I told Avery, and I was like, Avery, they want us to play the piano. And like, he thought I was joking. Like, he started laughing. And I was like, he's like, yeah, Joe, like, this is like, so then I knew that I wasn't going to be a music, like, I had to figure out the whole major thing. Right. Yeah. I was like, now, so like, I'm in the band now. Like, what exactly am I going to do now? You know, like while I'm here. And so that's when I had to figure some other stuff out. But yeah, that's the whole major thing. When you said that, Terrell, like that was all me. I wasn't tripping.
Crazy.
We'll figure it out.
So Toby, what was your process like?
Pretty similar. Like, I knew pretty similar to Terrell. Like, I knew like from coming on campus as a 4th and 5th grader, with my sister that I was going to Jackson State. It was no question. I made the mistake in middle school and high school, going to Brandon High School, telling my teachers that I'm just here so I can go to Jackson State. You know what I got to get on my ACT, what I got to get. Like I know a paradiddle, I know a triple radom cue. I was killing it. I was the best snare drum player, percussionist, period, in Brandon High School going into it, because I was playing with my sister was teaching me at 5th grade. She was friends with several, I mean, her crab brothers. I was in there. They were showing me like cadences and they were showing me, different rudiments and hybrids and all that type of stuff. So when I was at Brandon, it was like, oh, my it was louder, but I had, it was like, oh, I had to learn that whole core style thing. So like I was strictly core style, but while I was there, I had band directors that I love to this day. Shout out to them. But they were trying to convince me. My history teacher in my senior year was trying to convince me to go to Mississippi State. I went to Mississippi State. They're all state band, and made it, and they got a scholarship. Went to Ole Miss, got a scholarship. Went to USM, got a scholarship. And I was telling the people that were in there, their percussion instructors that were trying to recruit, and they was like, "What's your thoughts on next year?" And I was like, I'm gonna be a freshman at Jackson State," and they didn't like that. Like, oh, so we just gonna give you books. We'll pay for your books. That type of stuff, right? And I didn't care. Like, I will pay to go to Jackson State versus getting a full scholarship to come to your school, because that's how bad I wanted to be at Jackson State University. And my teachers and at Brandon, they was like, they thought that was foolishness.
Wow.
Like, why would you do that? Like, it was like, you're so much better than Jackson State. I was like, nah, I'm better than you. That was my mentality at that time. Like, I'm going to Jackson State. That's where I'm going to be. And that was the best decision I ever made in my life. That same as Donyale. Like, I remember going and auditioning at Jackson State. My sister set up the audition with Dr. Duplessis, because that was the percussion instructor under her. And so I got there, and in true Jackson State, Duplessis wasn't there. And I was sitting in the hallway waiting, like right outside the drum room, with my drum from Brandon High School, to do a snare drum solo, a mallet solo, and a timpani solo. And William Bethea showed up, And he was
Yeah.
like, "What?" He just saw the drum, and he was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "My sister was there." She was like, "Yeah, he's here. He's trying out with the Plisses." And my sister didn't know because had been removed from the program. And she was like, he was like, "Well, I'm the percussion instructor." You can see it took offense to it, but he had heard of my sister, and
Uh-huh.
he was like, "No, like I'm the percussion instructor. I'm the person that and does the recruitment and listen to the auditions of percussionists." But I was so confident because of the previous stuff. They're like, I'll play in front of anybody, and I played in front of them, and it was good. It was like it was a good audition. It was a great audition. Like when I left, and he gave me my number. He gave me my score. He announced my score when we had another percussionist uh, that was in the University of Illinois or something like that at the time. He invited me back, and he announced I was one of the future freshmen in there. He announced my score in front of everybody. He was like, "This is the highest score of anybody that I've done since I've been here." And I didn't know as a crab or as a future crab that was a bad thing because all lasers went to me.
Yeah,
In that
buddy.
room. It's like, oh, like you good. But I was good, but I wasn't cold. Like I
Mm.
wasn't no Herman. I wasn't like a Wesley Martin or James Weary. Like them boys were like amazing. Like I came in there because I could read real good and I could play multiple instruments. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm not taking anything away from people. They were cold, like cold blooded, like musicians, and they made me better. But
Mhm.
I think it was something in him to say that to make me better. Like it's also that weeding out process of Russell Thomas.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, either you're gonna rise to the occasion and you're gonna last and you're gonna do this and you're gonna be great, or you're gonna just float out and not be a part of this organization. So I appreciate him doing what he's done. But like yeah, it was never. I guess that's a long way of me saying it was never a second thought. Like uh, I admired the Southerns, the Tennessee States, the Bethunes, um, watching them on BET, but it was something different. It was like watching. I compared like my high school crush was Holly Berry. Jackson State was my Holly Berry.
Right.
Mm,
Right. Right.
Halle
You
Berry,
ain't get
Halle
better.
Berry,
Yeah,
right.
Halle
you ain't get better than Holly
Berry,
Berry.
Halle Berry.
Jackson State was my Holly Berry.
Right.
Like everybody else was making good. It's something
So
like that.
that's pretty dope, man, because I think that was like a method that they use, because very similar, like when I told you guys, I had to start all over when I got there as far as my skills. I got better when you guys came, but I remember Mr. Adams and now Dr. Magruder, they still didn't say, "Oh man, you doing better." They were like, "Well, Joe, I just kind of need you to like go in the practice room a little bit more." Like they always did
Mm.
that.
Mm,
When you guys got there, they did and I remember this, but we did introductions.
mhm,
And when you guys got there, they changed it. So I think we had to play scales or something. I can't, and I halfway want to think, I don't know if you guys were in the room with us or not. Um, but the year before, everyone would get up and you would play something on your horn, and then you would say your name and where you were from. And I remember I played Can't Hide Love in 97, and I was loud, like. And the second year, I was already preparing to play something, and then Doc said, "Okay, you need to play this," and it was like a scale or something. And then it was like, "Oh, you're not playing it fast enough, and it needs to be at 2 octaves." And I was like, "Damn!" In front of everybody. So y'all must not have been there if y'all don't remember this.
I don't,
No,
but that's just my
that's
memory isn't
I
as
feel like he
good.
did
Okay.
that in '98 though, like because like, I remember that first night when we were all there. You know, it was like
Well, we all still did our introductions
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
okay, so y'all were in there. So it wasn't people. They gave us what to play, and I was like, "Damn, I'm not ready for that." I had already thought about what I was gonna play, and then
You
I
were
tried to
practicing.
play it slow. They said, "Nope, this that's not supposed to be."
I just keep
And
envisioning this happening.
oh, he just broke me down again.
That's hilarious.
And
because trumpet players, y'all like if he didn't tell you to play a scale, everybody was gonna play Mo Better Blues.
well, yeah, of course, yeah, exactly. Everybody was playing something cool, and he was like, "Nope." And then I was like, "Joe, St. Louis." And then I sat back down. I was all defeated. And then they put the results on the board. I don't know if y'all remember that, but if you
No,
didn't do it right, it had failed on there, and it was like Joe Beard failed, and it was just
What?
like, damn, yes,
Wait,
it was up
what?
there.
Now
That
I
didn't
didn't
happen
see
in
that.
98.
Maybe,
that's another
yeah.
level.
Nah.
See, that's
So
another level.
you know, like there was the room where we all were in the band room, and then there was like that room behind where like the tubas and the drummers were. It was like a room, like it was like an office or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On that, there was like a bulletin board where they
Oh, it
posted
was.
things,
Yeah, I remember that.
and they posted the results of the introductions. And a
Never
lot
saw
of
that.
people had
It
failed, and
sounds
I
very
had
much like some
failed.
Paul Adams, actually.
that's Paul
Yeah.
Adams. Yeah,
And I was just like, damn, y'all are hard. Like,
I failed.
right.
Womp,
So
womp,
can you
I'm
womp.
imagine if Paul Adams had today's technology?
no, because he could hear stuff just in the front of the
Yeah,
band and say,
close
like,
eyes.
son, you doing something like, no, that ain't right. So
Yeah.
yeah, I remember, but I guess that was their way of like keeping us like
Sharp.
humble or sharp or you know.
He definitely would call out somebody. Like what you're saying is Paul Adams would call someone out as the entire band is rehearsing the song,
Yep.
and he keeps hearing something over here, and
Mm-hmm.
he's going to keep looking over there until
He figured out what person.
This is the seconds. Start to play from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna weed it out because something's bothering him. You playing something wrong. First? Get up. And also he'll just single you out.
Yes.
And that's the part, right? He'll single you out. Like, stand up.
Mm-hmm. Stand up.
Yeah, stand up. Son, put
I
your
love
mouthpiece
it.
in. Stand up. He's put people out in the same way.
Yes.
In the same way. He'll hear somebody like how often they just tearing it up. I heard a story about that. Joe, you might be able to elaborate on it.
That's
Because I wasn't
genius.
there. I just heard it.
Well,
Yeah.
I know they never kicked me out, but I know that like it happened to me like a couple of times. You know, like where I was
Singled
doing
out.
something wrong, or they single, and then they would be like, "Stand up and play it," and I would like tear it up in front of everybody, and then I would be like, "Oh my god, I don't know if I can keep doing this." Like, you know what I'm saying? But the cool thing is, my crab brothers were like, just don't quit, just try to like just get better, and then I would feel better about it later. But it happened to me a lot. There was one of my crab brothers, I can't remember his name. He played trombone, and Mr. Adams called him Jughead. Do y'all remember that?
Jughead.
Flavors.
Yeah, his real name.
So,
Yeah. That was
I
Jughead.
forgot his real name. I just remember Jughead.
That's his real name.
Yeah,
Jughead.
right. Mr. Adams called him that, and that was it. But he singled him out, saying that he was playing loud and wrong most of the time, you know. But I guess that's just how they were. We're at a premier program, and they couldn't do nothing like that today, I guess. You know what I'm saying? With the kids today. They wouldn't have been able to do anything like that. Okay. So yeah, that takes me back. Y'all take me back. Toby even made me think of Chris Jones, or Goldberg, like y'all say.
Goldberg. Yeah, he wasn't Goldberg until he got to Jackson State, though. He was Chris
Right,
Jones when you knew him.
right,
Right.
right, right. And
Shout
he
out
had the same,
Goldberg.
yeah,
Hey.
shout out to him. He had the same thing where at Johnson C. Smith, it wasn't the same level of music. You know what I'm saying? So when he got there, he thought he was gonna be playing snare and a whole bunch of stuff, and it didn't work out like that, you know. Um, okay, so now all y'all at Jackson State. So I always this is kind of similar when y'all say y'all boom story. What would you say was your most memorable moment marching in the boom? So Dan, y'all start with you first.
Um,
Man,
memorable.
man.
My most memorable moment marching in the boom.
Either that
Um,
or one of them, like you
one
know.
of them. Yeah. Um. Wow. Mm. It's okay. It's gonna be between. And I always tell this story. Marching in to the stadium for the Tennessee State game for the first time ever, my freshman year,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the NAACP Image Awards. That whole experience,
Yeah.
traveling to LA, and um, it was my senior year. Like I was graduating like in 2 months, so it was
Mm-hmm.
like just a lit type of, you know, send it home gift to me too. Um, but yeah, I would say the number one would be marching into the stadium for the first time. Just in my uniform, just part of this organization, feeling great. That was such an experience for me. It was just like I guess kind of maybe 360. Because my first time seeing a band live and in person was a Tennessee State game,
Mm-hmm.
and then them hyping it up. They hyped, the upperclassmen, the band directors, everybody hyped it up. When you march in the stadium and you see all of those pom poms and this lights, you see, however many it was 40,000, 60,000, 30,000. Number, how you see, all of those people, rise to their feet, cheering you on, marching into the stadium. You never get a feeling like it. So I was looking forward to that. And it did not disappoint. So it was, it's absolutely my most memorable experience, period. Cause that was the beginning of it. That was it. It's like I gotta keep doing this. I
Mm-hmm.
gotta do this again. You know what I mean? I gotta stay here. I gotta stay in school. I gotta make
Right.
sure, you know what I mean? I don't lose
Right.
my scholarship. I gotta do all of the things to make sure that I can, be a part of this group, and and keep doing this. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You picked a really good moment because we were pissed about Tennessee State. We
Mhm.
definitely, again, this is about you guys coming in and filling in. I don't know if you guys know, but the previous year, um, our first game was Alabama State in '97, and we heard how we sounded. Like there was someone had an audio tape, and we were listening to it on the bus. The whole band got a humongous big head that we were like really good, and we were, but we probably knew 15 songs. We didn't know a lot of songs.
Mm.
So those first two games, we played a couple of the songs we knew, and then we would play the show. Not the show, but like the halftime show. You know what I'm saying? Like we would play the halftime show in the stands, from blowing to the drill to, and then we would do all of that. That was part of
Mhm.
the fifth quarter for us. We got to Tennessee State, and I've actually interviewed one of the directors, Dr. Kevin Davenport, who was
Mm.
one of the directors. They were so angry at us for some stuff that had happened years before. They probably knew like 100 songs before that Memphis game, and they kept cranking song after song,
Mhm.
and they basically like just blew us out basically. And y'all remember Journey, right? We were playing Journey, right? In
Oh yeah.
'98, the tuna piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
We played Journey back at them in the stands. And
What?
yes,
Journey
we
to
ran out of
play.
songs.
You
What?
remember how you used to go? Y'all remember? Y'all remember?
It was it was bad.
Journey.
And so when Donyale's like, this is how it went. This was like the freshman were hyping it up, blah blah. We were like trying to get everybody on like this is like D-Day for Tennessee State. We gotta show up because how embarrassed we were. It was bad, but I do remember everyone like being hyped up for that game. And it turned out to be a really good game. We showed up that year, but it was just one of those. This is actually one of my stories. How they were just cranking on us, man, like song after song, and then we would stop and we wouldn't have nothing to play, and then they would just keep going. They were like, "Y'all don't have nothing? Well, listen to this." It was it was bad.
Wow.
Terrell, what was your most memorable moment?
Man, so I was sitting here listening to Donyale tell her story or her side of the memorable moments, and I was trying to figure out which story would be amazing for me to share. And I have so many, but
Right.
there is one that sticks out to me, and I don't want to say I don't want to get off the topic, but there's a one thing that sticks out to me the worst. Switch it. The worst. I think this was our senior year, 2001. I believe. I know we played Alcorn. It was the Capital City Classic. I
Okay.
think we were the visitors. This particular game, we were the
Yep.
visitors.
Yep.
It was the coldest game
Oh my
ever,
God. Yes.
ever, ever. Like no. I'm talking like I don't think it gets this cold anymore in Jackson. It was so cold. We had on layers and layers of clothes that would fit under our uniforms, and it was so cold. I think our fingertips were
It
like
was raining.
It's
yeah.
2000. I was
Thank you.
kicked out.
It was
I listened
2000
to
or
it on
two.
the radio.
You said it was 2000.
Yeah, I listened to it on the radio.
Okay, well, 2000.
That's the
Well,
only
so it
game
was
that
our
year I
junior
wasn't
year.
jealous.
Okay, so that was our junior year then. So that was only like good. I didn't want to be out there anyway. It
Mm.
was so cold, Joe. We sat on the bus to see if the rain was going to let up before we went into the stadium. And the fans were in there, and Alcorn, they were in the stands, and we were on the bus, so we had to go in. Like Doc said, let's go. We were like, what? No, this not no. It's the
Right. We
last game.
didn't
Let's
want to
go.
leave.
We did not want to get off the bus, so it was very very cold. That's and it was raining, and it was. Our lips were like chapped and frozen. It was the worst experience. I would never, ever, ever forget that. But it's one of those things that was like, if you can go through something, it's kind of like it builds character. You go through something and it makes you
Right.
stronger for the next scenario and the next event or life period. So I think about those moments and I think about that moment in that time transferred to life now when trials and tribulations come up and you figure out how to work through them and you move on. You think about those band days and those times where you didn't have a choice. Like, okay, we getting off the bus. Like everybody has to get off the bus and go in and march and play. I want to say the Woodwinds did not have to go because it was raining. I'm thinking I may be wrong. Maybe the Woodwinds and the J
You're
Sets did
you're
not have to get
correct.
off.
You're
Correct,
correct.
Hmm.
You're
because of the
correct.
instruments. But everybody that played brass and percussion. Let's go. So we were out there freezing, and I think what we did was, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, because Toby don't remember. Well, he may remember, but he just wasn't out there. I
I
think
heard
after
about it.
halftime, you heard about it. I think after halftime we marched on to the bus. I think. I feel like that may have happened.
So that's when we did march back to the bus. So we sat there for a period um in in the stadium. Then we went back to the bus, right? Then they brought
Uh,
everybody back, like you
yep.
said,
Right.
except the Woodwinds.
Except that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
We did
Hmm.
halftime. I don't know if we left though. Did we didn't do a fifth quarter?
I don't think we did. No. We did not. you know what? Somebody is going to see this and is going to
Toby, you
say,
remember?
"No, you're wrong." Toby
I don't
listened to it on the
remember. I don't
radio, and then the
remember.
radio went off.
Yeah.
The radio station went
Yes, the
off.
radio station went off because I
Oh,
didn't have it in me to go to the game.
He didn't
right.
go.
Like I didn't have it in me because
Look, you
it
didn't have
hurt
it
too
in
much.
you.
Yes.
Literally, like, I'm not going to this one. But yeah, Joe, that's it. That's something. And of course, that's a man. That question can go for an hour.
Right.
But that's something that never left my brain because I remember my toes literally were like blocks of ice. And it was like then my feet. And then it was like trying to march in those boots. We had those boots on. We were trying to be cool with those boots. Those boots did not have any insulation
No
in them.
insulation.
No.
None
It was
whatsoever.
crazy. They were uncomfortable. Like it was crazy. But so that was it. That was all corn 2000. Um, I thought it was our senior year, but I guess not. So it was all corn two. No, you're right. So I just thought about it because our senior year we were on the home side. That's right.
Hmm.
Right.
Home visitor. Yep, yep. Home visitor. Home visitor. That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Home visitor. Yeah, yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
yeah,
So
we were
yeah,
away with
yeah,
visitor.
yeah. We have a visitor. Yeah. So that was it. That was it. It was super cold, and that's something that just never left. Never left.
So, do you guys remember then your crab year when we played all corn?
Of course.
Mhm.
Okay, so it was
Double zero.
cold, very cold, and we sat close. Everybody was sitting close to each other,
Gotta
and
move up.
all corn didn't leave. They would not leave, and they just stayed.
Stayed.
And we were like, you know what? Just forget it. Let them have it. It's cold. Let's go home. But the director would not let us leave. And then it got to the point where we started chanting, "Take your ass home. Take your ass home." Do
Yes,
y'all remember
yeah.
that?
They say go home. That's go home. That's
Oh,
Born
I remember
Foster.
us saying, "Take your ass home." I remember us saying that. And then we just kept playing back to back and we didn't
Yep.
let them play. And then they finally left.
I think they started cutting the lights off.
I
Mhm.
think so.
I
Yeah.
think they started. Like they started. Like there
Yeah.
was like one
One
set of
light.
lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because it
then
was
5 minutes
dark.
later, it was definitely dark. I remember looking over there at them. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 But they just would
Hmm.
not leave. So that's like my 98 story. That and when fam came
Mhm.
and how they were so big, they just like they didn't even march into the state. They just walked up in the stadium. Y'all
They
remember they
did.
just walked
Mhm.
up in there. Um
I had never
and
seen fam until then.
yeah, and it
Never
was
seen
pretty
them.
respectful. And so
Hmm.
now I've met people that were in the band, and actually I was able to actually talk to them, and they told us their experience. And it
Mhm.
was funny because we all in the South now. All of them were like, "Man, we going to Mississippi," and they were like scared. I was like, "Well, what? Like what? What? Y'all in
Come on
Florida?
now.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like." They're like, "Oh, we going to Mississippi," and it was just like, "Well, damn!" Like I didn't, all right, Toby, what was your most memorable experience?
It's gonna be weird right now. But I want to say like it was a time like I remember my senior year. It might have been all corn, and it was a pretty game 2001. Um, and I remember playing. We came to play and just taking that moment, realizing that this was probably the last time that we're gonna do this in the vet, and looking to the right and the left and seeing all the pom poms in the air, and
Mm,
getting teary eyed,
yeah.
and it just it resonated in that moment. Um, and then stop playing and just start jumping. And I equate it to like I guess feeling a spirit. You know, and it was I was happy, sad at the same time because it was like this is beautiful, and I don't think as the as the 4 years of playing, we came to play at a game and seeing this atmosphere, it didn't resonate, and I didn't take it in. Um, that was probably one of my favorite experiences with the boom. But let's take it up a notch. This podcast, Band Sessions with the Boom, with Tiger Talk has probably changed that moment because you step away from the boom as an adult. It's like it stops. You don't go to the professional band league. you don't go to
Right.
you don't go to the NFL or the NBA or the Major League Baseball. It stops. Unless you gigging. And I'm not gigging. Terrell's not gigging. Donyale's not gigging. But this is something that's like so vital to our growth as human beings. I hope they would agree with me on that. It's like who we are, how we run our businesses, how we do our jobs, how we just walk through life. It's so many nuggets that we've gathered from the Sonic Boom of the South that helps us be who we are, and so many like just words of wisdoms from the band directors and the people that we march with. So I would like to say, like right now, us doing this podcast, and right now we're close to 50 episodes, and the people that we've had on, and the moments of Terrell's I didn't know that um has resonated in us, and so it hasn't stopped. You know what I'm saying? Like we went through this period of like 18 no 20 22 23 years, 25 years, where it just we didn't talk about it, we didn't patronize it. We just showed up to games and and did the whole game day experience during football season, and talked about it with our friends there, and maybe through internet chatter every once in a while. But
Mhm.
like right now, it's consistent. Like us three are meeting 3 times, 2-3 times a month with a guest, and we're talking to them about band, and more importantly about Jackson State University Sonic Boom of the South band, and we're gaining knowledge about the band, and we're getting history, and we're putting that stuff on wax because the next generation can come back and listen to your podcast, chopping it up band session, chopping it up with band sessions with the Boom, chopping it up with whoever it is that you're talking to, and they can gain that knowledge of the history, and it's not a question anymore. Like, where did this come
Mhm.
from? How did this start? And it's fun. So I want to say like 50 episodes is more than the amount of games that we all marched right
Mhm.
now, and we've had conversations on wax and behind wax that has impacted my life greatly, and has changed the course of purpose in my life. And so like I would like to say like my greatest boom moments is probably going on right now with this
Mm.
podcast. So like I've made new friends that didn't march with us, you know, you know, now. And I would have never had the opportunity to just sit down and have a chatter with them if it wasn't for um, Tiger Talk, Terrell, you know, um, coming up with the vision of this, and Donyale and I clicking, and us just being able to have that common conversation in the Great 98, man. It's Great
Mhm.
98. It's all about the inclusive we instead of the exclusive we. So we just try to bring everybody in. So like this right now is probably my favorite part of the Boom, and I like to play. So um but the talking has been fun.
That's probably, I ain't gonna lie, man. After all, I for a minute, that's probably the best answer I heard, to be honest with you.
I
Because
agree.
every time I do the show, um, no matter who it is, I actually learn something that I did not know about that person that I'm talking to. And I know I talked to Ron, and Ron had went through it when we were in school. And so Ron, um, I mean, you guys know how tough Ron is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, I don't know everything Ron, because he don't talk about everything, but I think Ron was like one of them people that you see on TV in the wars out there, like shooting, getting shot at, and shooting people. I think Ron was somewhere, just like how he talks. And then Ron was also, um, he was a drill sergeant. Like he was
Right.
one of the people get the people ready.
Teaching.
Right. And Ron has got like, I think Ron has like a Purple Heart. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And when he got back over here, I remember he told me, like, sometimes he's here now, but like being on the road, like if there's like a piece of trash on the road or something like that, like how that in his mind, like it was something like an IED or whatever. It was like it was some type of explosive device or something like that. So he would share that with me, and I was like, damn, Ron, I didn't know that type of stuff bothered you, because I just thought you were so hard at everything, Ron. Like, you know what I'm saying? But he was like, nah, some stuff does bother me, you know what I'm saying? Because Ron was like our heart and soul of 97. You know what I'm saying? We would be scared and Joe, stop being a bitch about stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know, Ron, like that.
I don't know,
Ron,
Ron.
yeah. And Ron he yelled at a lot of us about like not being tough. Him, and believe it or not, y'all remember Kimani?
Of course.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
He wasn't as vocal as Ron, but Kimani was like, oh well, no big deal. And then we were like, what? Like, but I think
That was
Kimani.
Alex Jawanza.
Oh, really?
That was Alex Jawanza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
Like,
yeah,
it's gonna be all right, baby.
oh, okay. That sound like him. Yeah,
It's gonna be all right, baby. Like, just toughen up. We gonna make it.
yeah. I wasn't like that.
I don't know, Ron.
Yeah,
No, this
I
ain't
wasn't
working.
like that. Yeah,
Shout out Ron. Ron
Right.
was an important part in my, just every aspect of it, really. Marching, sticking through, pushing through. Like he'll be down there, push up position or something like that. He'll be down there like, you ain't gonna quit. You a beast, you a dog. Da, da, da. I'm like,
right.
I love it.
It sounds just like him too.
Yeah.
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 Ain't no girls doing this, da, 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 you know what I mean? He'll be down there just egging me on. I'm like, yes, I needed that. You know what I mean? He was a light during
Some
that.
about them Callaway boys too, though, because Rod T was like that too. Rod T, symbol player. He was like, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. You know, he was scared as hell as well, but like, it's gonna
Right.
be, we're gonna make this stuff. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. You gonna make it. You know,
Right. But that was the difference in it. Now I think about it, Kimani was like that, and Isaac was like that. Isaac out of the great, was a Cast Tech.
Isaac Orton.
Isaac Orton. That's how
Yeah.
he was. He was like that. He would say something like that didn't hurt. Like that's what Isaac would say. Like that wasn't that bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's always good to have those people. But overall, just to piggyback on what you said, man, it is being able to have the podcast, and that's why I like your show so much, because it feels like home. It's like boom centered. You know what I'm saying? So the people you talking to, like you talked to Born, and that was cool because I talked to him before, and I always wonder how he was doing when he got out, and like people had talked to him. It was good to actually see him. Like he seemed like he's cool, you know what I'm saying? And he's all right. So that was cool to see that he's doing okay. Because when I talked to him, he was playing with Music Soul Child, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But so it's cool to see specific boom stories. So that's why I'm glad that y'all are here. Because when I started doing the show, I did it mostly out here because no one knows too much. It's HBCUs out here. It's not like that. So I try to get as much as possible, but I wanted to be more boom centered, but then y'all came along. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool. So now all the alumni get the email from Carl, well, y'all gonna be on. So I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? I just get the link of my email and then I check out the show. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it.
So that's super dope. Okay. So now I want to find out how you guys got this together. So please tell me this story. Now I know we all are in our different places. Donyale, you in Atlanta. Toby, you in
Tampa,
Tampa.
Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Terrell's in Memphis.
Yep.
Really quick, Terrell, and I almost forgot. For all the people watching, Terrell is the window tint man.
Hey,
The
In the shade
window,
window tinting, baby.
you
Yes.
know,
your car has not
uh,
been tinted by Terrell.
right.
You might not be true Blue JSU.
Exactly. Okay. So real quick, Terrell, I gotta tell you, I had a 1989 Buick LeSabre, and it was gray, and it had like the mirror looking trim around.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody said, "Oh, Terrell, he'll tint your windows." So I wanted to get something dope. So you said, "Oh, well, you go buy the tint, and I'll put it on." It was $40, and I was like, "Bet, okay." So I went and got the mirror tint. Terrell put it on, and it was dope. Terrell, let me tell you, I got pulled over every week. Oh my! They thought I was like Nino Brown or something. Like, oh my god! But they said, oh, it's just how it looked. But people were saying that it looked sleek, but it looked like something was going on in your car. That's what people were saying.
Hey, Terrell tinted my
Dude,
front
that's
windshield.
crazy.
People couldn't see in the car.
Oh, word!
I got the biggest ticket ever.
Joe. Toby, don't
Son,
be doing that. Y'all
That was years
listen.
ago. We both learned. You know,
I know.
it's
It
a
was a
great
right?
job.
Terrell
Mustang.
It's
just
a
did.
great job.
That's what you want. All right.
You told me what
I
to do.
got you.
Right.
Joe, I can't believe you remember that. That was in 1990. It had to be 1999.
Yeah, because
It had to
that's
be
when my mother
99.
let me take that car to school. And I,
1999.
I was like, I got to get the
Gosh.
tent, and I wanted the mirror tent because it went along. The dark wouldn't go with the trim on the
Mm-hmm.
gray. I had to get the mirror, and people were like,
The mirror got to match the shoes, man.
yeah. And they were like, that looks good, but it looks like it stood out. So, and y'all know me, I smoked. So it was bad
Clearly,
where
he got kicked out of
right,
Right. You gotta keep that
before
school,
you
boy.
got
Before
accepted.
school camp.
right. So I'm like, I'm riding around. I'm like, man, I can't ride. So the police would pull me over and they were like, roll down your windows and all this stuff like that. I went back to St. Louis after I graduated and I would get pulled over on 55 going up the highway. And they were like, well, what's going on in here? And I was like, nothing. It's just my tent. And I remember a police officer told I've never actually told you this, man. A police officer said he's like, this is actually pretty cool. That's what he told me.
But I'm getting you a ticket.
Yeah. But he actually didn't give me one.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it was more like this looks suspicious. You know what I'm saying? But it looked like I had like a custom ride. Like it snapped, it brought it out. You know what I'm saying? But once I got back to Missouri, I had to take the front and the
Front two
passenger
off.
side off because they by law they wouldn't let you have anything on up there.
Nah.
So I was like, damn, that hurt that I had to take it off. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I had that tent until I got another car, and that was in 2003. I still had that tent,
Wow.
man.
Man, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's a crazy story. I can't believe you remember that. I remember. Of course, I remember.
Yeah.
I can't believe you remember that.
It looked good though. It was
I appreciate it.
professional. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Folks thought that I was something. They thought I was like somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Just
So,
off the tent. That's what's up.
Hey, shout out to two people, John Bell and Mike Allen. Those were the two individuals that are responsible for me knowing anything about window tint. So
Your tentors.
my tent
yes.
I like that. My tent tour. Oh,
That's
I was
dope.
the tentee.
Yes.
Yes.
I was the
Hey.
tentee. We got to copyright these. We got to copyright some of these sayings, man. Right? We got to copyright some of this stuff.
Right.
Oh, it's
Joe,
a whole
I
industry,
appreciate
man.
it. Right, Joe, I appreciate that, man. That's a feel good story. To for somebody that can remember 20 plus. I don't want to say the number, but we know it's 20 plus. 20 plus years ago is a long time
Yeah.
to have made an impact on somebody, especially with the work that I do now today. And this is what I do every day. So man, I appreciate you, Joe. Thank you for
Yeah.
trusting me to do it.
Yeah. And it looked the same till I had to get rid of that car. I think I ended up trading it in to get um the new car that I bought in 2003.
Okay.
Because I was in Nashville at that time and I had
Okay.
just finished graduate school and I was working, but it just didn't keep up. Like my mother bought that in '89. I was in the sixth grade, and that car had held up all of that time. And drove it to Pennsylvania. Was rolling around Pennsylvania with the mirror tint, like you know what I'm saying, and the Missouri tags, and they were like, "Dad," like you know what I'm saying. Uh, so it was a dope time, man. But yeah, I appreciate the tent. I always look good, man. I had meant to
That's
tell you
awesome.
that, man. It held
I
up for
appreciate it, bro.
years. Yeah,
That's dope.
yeah,
That's dope. It made me feel good.
yeah. Okay, so y'all got to tell me how you guys got this going, and also what has been your memorable experience on the podcast, like
Ooh,
just the whole
Ooh.
story.
ooh.
Ooh, the whole story. All
Yeah,
right. So this is how it goes. It goes a little something like this. Kick it. So what happened was first let me shout out to Corey Collins, aka the Corey C. Corey Collins, he is the guy that is like the head guy over Tiger Talk TV. Shout out to the whole Tiger Talk TV family, Ken Clark, TD, and the Corey C. KC
Hey.
1400 Media. Yo, shout out big that's the whole Tiger Talk family. Donyale and Toby and myself, we the Tiger Talk TV family. So what happened was before we even had this platform of band sessions with the Boom, Tiger Talk TV was always doing interviews and everything sports related, JSU, all JSU sports, anything
right.
surrounding sports, golf, baseball, football, basketball, everything, just covering, just a media coverage. And that's a whole nother story how that got started. But Cortez Bryant, if you don't know, Cortez Bryant is a music mogul,
97,
CEO. 97,
97.
shout out 97.
Yeah.
Cortez Bryant is a music mogul. He does a lot of things. He's CEO of just a lot. Cortez has a lot going on. He's also a professor at Jackson State University. Well,
Mhm.
however, Cortez has always been very instrumental in giving back to the university, just representing JSU everywhere he go or everywhere he has gone all over the country. And being that Cortez is a JSU alumni, Corey C wanted to get Cortez on the show, to talk about the impact that he's made on the university. How did the university impact him and his life, and blah blah blah. Well, Cortez marched in the Boom. He WT. Corey was like, "Yo, I need to get a co-host to interview Cortez, being that Cortez was in the Boom." Now, my major was mass communication at Jackson State University with an emphasis in broadcast production. Corey Collins, the Corey C, same major, mass communication. I think Corey was more so into the journalism, production, broadcasting side of it. I'm sure I'm quoting it wrong, probably. Forgive me, Corey. But Corey and I, we were in class together. We studied under the same professors. Everything media, you name it, media, TV, radio, production, broadcasting, journalism, news, all of that. We did that. So Corey hit me up one day and said, "Man, Key, man, I know you dibble and dabble into the TV and the radio kind of thing. Would you mind being on the show with me to as a co-host?" I'm like, "What kind of question is that? Let's do it."
Right.
So there was no video. We didn't have, so we're on YouTube. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right. So, but there was no video portion. It was all audio.
Yeah.
So you would call into this number, and you had your phone, or if you had like some headphones, you just speaking to, like, if if you had like a just your regular earbuds or whatever, and you just you use the microphone on that, and you just talk. So so Corey and I we interviewed Cortez, and the show was a hit. Um, the fans liked it. The fans loved it. They wanted to hear more boom stories. Of course, two boom people are on the show. Of course, it's a sports related show. We talking about sports and things too. However, it was a lot of boom stuff going on in that
Right.
particular episode. So Corey hit me up and was like, "Man, I got some great feedback from the show." We ended up going longer than we were supposed to, so we ended up doing two parts. So this was before COVID, and Corey was like, "Yo, we want to get some more band members on, some old band members, some alumni on to tell some more boom stories." And Corey asked me, like, "Man, would you mind being the host of that segment of the show of Tiger Talk?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." He said, "But you got to find two more hosts." And I'm like, "Well, who you got in mind?" He said, "I don't know, but you got to find them." I was like, "Well, I mean, I don't know who to find. Like, I know a million people, so I'm thinking in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm thinking. I had somebody in mind, but our schedules did not align. Like, the person I had in mind, he was super duper busy all over the place. I probably need to go on and just say it. I don't think I've ever really just said it out loud, but I
Say it out
probably
loud,
should
man.
say it out loud.
Say it out.
So it's person, okay. It was Karamu, DJ Unpredictable. Shout out to DJ Unpredictable.
Oh, Karamu. Okay.
So he was the first person that Corey had in mind because Karamu, he's in media, he's a
Right.
speech major. He was a mass comm major. Well, I think it was mass comm was his minor or speech. I don't remember. But anyway, he does all kinds of stuff. He has a radio show on the SIP FM. He's DJ, professional DJ. He does hosting gigs and all that kind of stuff. So somebody that's great with the mic. That was the first person that Corey had to come to mind. So I was like, that's perfect. Karamu, my partner, let me hit him up. Our schedules didn't work out, to try to line up, when we could record and all that good stuff because he travels and he's always on the road. He's always on a plane somewhere. So it didn't work out like schedule wise. So I'm like, okay, cool. I got to figure somebody else out. I don't know. I'm just thinking. So randomly I said, you know what? I got the perfect two people, Toby and Donyale. So I hit them up. Yo, got this idea. Bam, bam, bam. They were like, all right, let's try it out. Both of Toby and Donyale agreed to do it. I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're just gonna interview some band people, just get them on, just have some conversation, just make it easy. So Corey was like very instrumental in coaching us on like the podcast lifestyle, like how to ask questions and when the flow of the show. And if you got a question that you want to ask, but somebody else asks that question, then you got to skip that question and go to something else, because it doesn't make sense to ask the same question again if you got more than one person on as a host. So that is how band sessions with the boom got started. Cortez was the one that came on as a band person on the sports show. Everybody loved the show. We had great feedback from the show, and Corey hit me up and was like, "Yo, we gotta keep this going." And man, this is ours. Like we're 2.5 years in, and like Toby said, almost 50 episodes in, and man, we've had a lot of great guests, a lot of special guests because what all our
All
All
our
our
guests
guests
guests are
special.
special, man.
all our guests are special. So that's our thing. So that's how band sessions with the boom got started.
That's pretty cool, man. And shout out to Cortez. Um, I interviewed him too. And then of course I saw that he gave so much money to the band. So we're all proud of him, but I'm still happy that he had like time for me. Cause it's
He's
like,
busy.
man, like
He's a real one though.
right. It's like that's crazy. You taking pictures with Lil Wayne and everything. And I think Black worked with him for a little while. And so I was like, man, you think he could do an interview on my show or something like that? And so he called me and I was like, wow, man, I appreciate your time. You know what I'm saying? He was even out here in LA for something, and Black came with him, and they were staying at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I was like, damn, you in Beverly Hills now? Like damn, like you know what I'm saying? And so I went down there to see them and hang with them and kicking. And I was just like, man, I appreciate, you know what I'm saying? It still feels like school. Like, you ain't like I always think about that Martin episode where Gina's friend was all big time. and she was super fake. Like, you know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
always
Yeah,
had them thoughts if somebody blow up, they ain't gonna remember you like that. Like,
Nah.
but he was cool, man. And so I was like, man, I really appreciate that. So, shout out to him on that. And that's really cool that you guys, because you guys definitely have a chemistry. And you all from different sections. So I think I like that the most. And then of course I like that Donyale is funk. So
oh yeah,
she
no doubt.
representing.
You gotta have a trumpet player on here.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
You
true.
gotta have a
that
trumpet player.
and also like I said, like I just remember 98. Like it was a really good year. Uh,
Pivotal.
it was, man, because y'all definitely were talented, but people didn't know that a lot of the upperclassmen were scared because y'all came right in there. And when people talk about it now, people talk about how clean 98 was. They say that band was a whole, it was really clean. So now people will tell me, oh, I saw Jackson State at 98 and blah, 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 blah. And all I think about is how like us upperclassmen were tripping about what Doc did. That's all. But how clean, how everybody talked about, oh no, that band was good. That's what made me go to Jackson State. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I always have so much respect for y'all. But also too, like, especially y'all down here. Yeah, y'all Q's. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Y'all, man, I'm telling you, man.
Hey, joking.
Trevor is out here too. Trevor
Mhm.
is in
Yeah.
LA.
Yep.
Yep. Good old
Word,
Trevor.
nice. Trevor.
I gotta get
Trevor.
Trevor's number from you, Joe, because I don't think I got the same number that I had
I think
before.
he moved or something, but I think he's still out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, man, you out here in California, man. So yeah, that's what's up. And then Harvey, shout out to Harvey.
CB.
Yeah.
I used to give Harvey my super card, and y'all remember there was
Ah,
like a little a
He was in
convenience
St.
store, I
Louis for a
want to
minute.
say, on the second floor of the Union.
yep,
Yeah.
sure was. Oh wow,
I used to
whoa.
send him over there, and I'd be like, "You can use my card, man." And I used to get me some macaroni and cheese and some greens. And I was like, "You could get something for yourself," like, you know what I'm saying. And so he would go over there. So shout out to Harvey, man. Man, I got a lot of other 98 stories.
You was a good dude, Joe.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
gave him your
no doubt.
super card to get your food.
Yeah. And then of course I would say you could probably get some of your crab brother something. Like, you know what I'm saying?
What?
But yeah, Harvey was cool. I mean, y'all were a great class, man. I just, man, it's so many thoughts when I think about that. And so and that's part of why I like y'all show. Y'all y'all take me back. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Can I
it's
tell you
good.
like two things? Because like when Terrell was talking about like the inception of the show, um, when he approached me about coming on the show, I was going through some stuff. I had just recently lost my dad. It was complicated. Um, I was trying to figure some things out. Uh, and I didn't want to do the show. But have you ever not wanted to do something but did not know why you wanted to do it? You
Right.
know, and then going through a process and asking questions and peeling some layers of this onion back. The reason that I found out I didn't want to do it was stupid, and so let's be brave and do it. Because this is not me. Coming out here and just talking and just being free. Like I do this with friends, but like just
Mm.
doing this on a platform because some of our biggest episodes, there's a lot of numbers on them things, and then it's like, oh, like it is what it is, but um it's something about pushing yourself to do things beyond your limits, but it's also something about having friends ask
Mhm.
you to do things
Yeah.
to push you beyond your limits, and be patient with that. Because I did tell Terrell no, like no, I don't
Really?
want to do that.
I never knew that.
And he
Yeah,
waited.
said
He
I'll be
waited.
back.
You circle back. You circle
Yeah,
back.
he circled
That's
back. Like, nah, I don't think that's
Wow.
for me. You know what I'm saying? And like, oh my God, man, if he would have went to the Knicks, it probably been the worst decision I ever made. One of the worst decisions I've ever made in my
Man,
life. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
it would, because, and I say this all the time. Donyale is one of my closest friends now.
Mm-hmm.
Over the past 2.5, 3 years, like we've grown close. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
close as I want to be. I think we're gonna be closer. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know what I'm saying? Like we have room to build that. But like she is a friend. You know that if you say list 5 friends, hey, Danielle's on that list. You know, but it's because of the podcast. We talk a lot and
Mm-hmm.
we vibe. You know, and it's because of Terrell and she's my crab sister. But just
Right.
because
Mhm.
somebody's your crab sister, your crab brother, she was
Well,
a
you're
different
Warren
section.
Thunder. You're
You
Warren
know what I'm saying?
Thunder. So.
It wasn't one of those things like it's like, oh my God, like we vibe on a lot. Like shoot, we got a
Mm-hmm.
Spotify list together with music, you know, you know, like, that we listen to. You know, it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things. And so like I think that's something that's imperative for all of us, like to continue moving forward and grow those relationships and those friendships because it's not over. Like
Mhm.
just because we stopped marching in 2001, 2002,
Mm-hmm.
the relationships they continue to grow. You know, it doesn't stop with the friendships that you had in 2001, 2002. You know, so
Right.
this whole thing has taught me a lot, and so I'm appreciative of that. And so yeah, that's pretty much it, man. This is it's going to get bigger. Um, we have some great episodes that's coming up. Some huge people that boom people contribute to be legendary, and they are legendary um, because they've brought so much to the Sonic Boom of the South. Uh, we've gotten to a point right now where it's still hard to get people. You know, the hardest part is finding the time
Mm.
of where all four of us, like one, two, three, me, Terrell, Danielle,
Mm-hmm.
and then the guests, can find that time, that hour and a half where we can just talk. But it's not hard now to get people to agree that they will be on the show. It's
Mm-hmm.
just finding the time
Right.
now. You know, that's where we got. It used to be a part where it was like, okay, it was hard to get people like, nah, I ain't really feeling that. You know what I'm saying? But then you would get a person on, and then it was like, oh, they respect that person, and it was like, okay, yeah, I'll
Mm-hmm.
figure out a time to do it. Now it's like, oh, it's a thing. Um, if you boom related, and it I think the harder thing right now is like for us to be able to when we sit and talk because everybody is important to us. We love everybody,
Mhm.
but like it's a story. Does it fit with the story? You know,
Mm-hmm.
like it because a lot of our stories are the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but does it tell something different about our story and all of us, does it fit into it and does it tell something of importance to the importance of the sonic boom of the south, because the importance of the sonic boom of the south is beyond the sound, is
Mm-hmm.
beyond the arrangements, it's beyond all, it's really the relationships that are built within this, and then the tools that we've gathered through going through this to be successful in what we're doing in life. And a lot
Mm.
of times that's not even about music.
Mm-hmm.
It's through music. So we loving it. I mean it's changed my whole view of what it's changed my whole view of the beauty of the sonic boom of the South. When I see the sonic boom of the South and when you say what you say, um, Joe, like it's hard for me not to get emotional. I've been getting emotional a lot
Mm-hmm.
over the past 2 years because of our podcast and because of your podcast and because of just the conversation. Because it's a beauty in seeing people grow.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, um, I hadn't heard, like, I had no idea I was going to be in California.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the opportunity to come out here, and I wasn't married or anything, but it was more like, oh, I'm getting this good opportunity for my career. I didn't know how hard it was going to be traveling back to see my family. I had no idea I was going to have kids and get married, and then like trying to get 4 plane tickets every time to go back
Yeah.
for something. Like it's like super hard.
Yeah.
So when the boom came out here, like I lost my dad too as well,
Mm-hmm.
and he was so like I mean he was so Jackson State, like he wanted me to go to Jackson State, like he and then the cool thing about when all of that happened before you guys got there and I was practicing every day, it made him really proud because he
Right.
knew I was trying to practice to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he would see me in the stands, he was like, "Oh man, I can see you playing with confidence and all that stuff like that." Like I actually made him proud, you know.
Yeah, I love that.
So that was cool. But when they came out here, I hated that he wasn't here. And that's what I get emotional about. Is like certain things when the boom does something, he's not here. Like when Dion went to Jackson State and all that happened, like I was like, damn, I wish he was here. So when the boom got here, I'm not gonna lie, they were at Inglewood High School, and y'all remember Daryl. Daryl was still in the band.
Yeah. Damn.
Okay,
Right.
No doubt.
that was his high school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I saw Daryl walking up, and I was like, "Oh my God, you are from California!" Like I told him, he's like, "Yeah, this is my high school." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So Mar was with the band at the airport, and she made that video of them getting off the plane and all of that. And then they rolled over. We were all waiting on them. There were people that flew out from Jackson to see it.
Mhm.
And so when they got there, they got off the buses and everything. I was dapping everybody up, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, blah, 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 blah. And then they lined up and they played series. They tat, 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 tat. I started crying. I'm a grown man because I hadn't heard it in
That
person.
way.
Yeah.
I only have clips that people have sent me, and I play it on my show.
Mm-hmm.
And for like years, because I've been doing it since 2011,
Mm-hmm.
like I hear series like on this, and I heard it in person. I was like, oh my God, like that was special.
Mm-hmm.
You
For
heard
like
that every day for 4
for
years.
4 years.
Every
Yep.
day.
Going to the practice field. You
Mhm.
heard that
Every day.
every day.
Going and coming.
You know,
Going and
that's
coming.
that
Yep.
is part of you.
Yes.
That is part of your DNA. Like if we were an African tribe, like
Right.
that's our fight song. You know what I'm saying? We going
Right.
to war. You know, like when you hear this. So like if you go a limited time without hearing that, and then you hear it, that's familiar. That's home.
Man.
And like, and if you're not crying off of that, like you're not human. You're a
Right.
sociopath.
Right.
Like that's what it is. I've heard people that's not even in the band, like friends of mine, when they sad at home, they go to YouTube and they put the Sonic Boom of the South on, and that's
It
their
take you
therapy.
back. It take you back.
It
Yep.
makes them feel better.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like so, like, and I'm guilty of that. Like, if
Yeah.
I'm sad, you know, like, hey,
Go to the
you want
boom.
happy, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm sad, like, let's put some boom videos in.
Mm-hmm.
JSU bands on YouTube.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now we like we're saying, we got so many episodes in. I'll go back and watch some episodes of
Yep.
band session with the boom,
Yeah.
and
Same
I'm
here,
like,
Toby.
and listen to some stories, and I'm like, oh, it puts me back there. You know, like,
Mhm.
you know, it's off week or off month where we ain't recording nothing, and then
Mhm.
we're like, oh, like and
Yeah.
then it give me some energy. Let's record. Let's get some
Right.
more people
Right.
on here. Let's
Right.
get back
Right.
to work. Let's
Let's
get back
get
to
to
work.
work.
Right. Right. So that's what's up. So I had an idea and I wanted to say it to you guys on the air. I do want to hear like what's your most memorable episode or experience together. Um, but I do the National Signing Day for marching bands every year. And it's gonna
Hmm.
be at two high schools. It's one is gonna be at this guy Bernard Bradley. Forgot the name of his school. Do y'all know Zach Neagley though?
Yeah.
Play tuba player.
Mhm.
Okay, so and it's gonna be at his high school. I did it at his high school a couple years ago, but I actually talked to Zach. Did really well, so I'm probably gonna continue to do it at his high school. Um, I wanted to run this by you guys, but if a student picks Jackson State, or if there's a student that says on the show, I would like to send y'all that person's information and maybe have y'all talk to them.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I
That'd be
also
great.
want you guys to talk to Kylan Jones, who is about to graduate. He went to Central High School in Memphis, and he's one of Ollie's students.
What?
He was on my show
Shout out
4 years
Alabama.
ago. Yeah, he was on my show and announced to the world that he was going to Jackson State. And so now he's been I think he's section leader, or he was section leader, but he's actually really, really good. And now he's about to graduate. So I want you guys to talk to him so he can be on you guys' show. So he could like tell his story and all of that stuff like that.
I'm gonna
Okay.
call Ollie tomorrow. I'm gonna call him tomorrow. Like Ollie, hook me up with one. What's his name? Colin. You said Colin.
Kylan, Kylan, and Jones.
Colin
He's
Jones.
about to graduate.
Write this down.
Um, so I had because mostly what I was doing, I was reaching out to the band directors at the high schools, and I was saying, "Hey, do you have some students that's going to graduate?" And they would say on my show where they going, just like the football players do, and all of that.
Mhm.
And so he was one of the people. There's another one. There's another. My name horrible with names, but he was on my show. He was He was saxophone section leader, and he's graduated on. He would be good for y'all to talk to too, because like these people were like, "Oh man, I can't. I want to go to Jackson State, do that," and then they went and they graduated. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So I wanted to get y'all to talk to them because they're off doing Manuel Powell. That's his name, Manuel Powell. He's from Virginia somewhere.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Yep. And
It's
so it
crazy
would
where
be
the boom
cool.
is recruiting from right now. Like, they
Yeah.
got kids from Montana and all that type of stuff. Like, it's crazy where everybody's coming from. But like, I say it on air. Like, I think it's awesome. Like we do National Signing Day for football, for basketball, for
Mhm.
baseball, softball, all that type of stuff. Like, if we got band kids, this like National Signing Day, like let's get behind them.
Why not? Yeah.
Let's
Right.
push them forward. Let's make sure that they significant within the program and they're giving back, because I think
Mhm.
the important thing is what they do while they're there, but the most important thing is what they do when they leave.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Like
Right.
finding their purpose once they leave. And
Right.
I
Right.
think this is something that's um imperative for the growth of the program. And like you said earlier, within this episode, there's not there with the boom. There's never been a fall off.
Nope. Knock on wood. It.
There's
You know.
never been a fall off. Like we've had hard times, but fall off in the program where it's not respected.
Right.
There's,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Like.
because of the alumni, for the alumni.
Yeah. Like Norfolk was really huge back
Mhm,
in the day, and
mhm,
they fell off for a while. Fam, of course, y'all know. We all know what happened to Fam,
mhm.
and
Mhm.
they're kind of like
Yeah.
rebuilding now. But
Prep
Mhm.
year.
even since my dad was in the band in the '60s,
Mhm.
it's Jackson State has been always up there. So
Texas Southern, they were big, then they had a fall off, and it lasted for years. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But like, it's programs right now. I'm not gonna even say their names, but like,
Mhm.
it's questionable fall off
Yeah.
isms within it. You know what I'm saying? But like, because I respect them too much. But like right now, like
Right.
we haven't, because of it's just consistency within the program and the people and the leadership and the guidance. whoever's deciding and making those decisions, they're doing an impeccable job. So like I'm all for like doing whatever it is. We are all for doing whatever it is to promote Jackson State to the fullest and making sure that we stay on top.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. So, what has been your most memorable experience so far doing the show?
Whew. They loaded
Do you have a
questions.
favorite show, or like how like
Mm, that's tough. That's a tough one, Joe, because all of the episodes, all of the guests, we learned something new, like from all each and every guest, right? I could say I have a couple most memorable. We had Blake Gaines on. And the reason I say that he's a memorable episode is because we learned a lot about um his impact on the boom at the time he was in the band, and I heard the name Blake Gaines for decades, you know what I mean? Like since I we were all in school. And so, you know, learning about like not only like the impact he had on HBCU bands, but just well, yeah, I'll just put it that way. Like his involvement with you know, uh the making of Morris Brown, that record, and things like that. Like it was just to me it was good because it was like someone that I guess you would say had like has a legacy attached to their name that
mm,
I never met before,
mhm.
right? Never really even seen in person. A
That's
lot of our guests, like, we've if we didn't march with them, we've seen them at homecomings or a game or
Right.
somewhere. You know what I mean? So that was one of my favorite episodes. Most memorable is definitely anytime we talked to Doc. Um,
Yeah.
like the episode we had with Doc is like it's he's so full of like knowledge and wisdom, but he's so funny. Like we get our own humor. You know what I mean? We have
right.
our own things about Doc that we laugh at and we love about his personality, right? And so things that he's not aware of even. So it's just always a joy to talk to him. Um, in his episode, we had some technical difficulties. It was just prime time Doc. You know what I mean? It was just classic Doc the whole time, the whole episode. Like it was the angle he had, the phone, like it was just all like yes,
God.
like
It's classic Doc.
anybody, yeah, like when you see it, it's our first episode with him, so it's like, well, of course we plan on talking to Doc some more. You know what I mean? Like, duh. But it was like the angle of the phone, everything about it was like you would just laugh because it's like this is actually like him. It's classic.
Mhm.
So I love that episode. I loved it. It's in two parts, a part one and a part two, because we talked to him for what, about 2.5 hours, maybe,
Mhm.
that episode, the 3 hours or so. But yeah, that was one of my most memorable so far.
Terrell, you have one
I have one.
or a moment? Yeah.
I have a moment. I have a moment. This was a moment in this. Well, actually, this could be this probably. I don't want to say this was my most, but it was one of my most memorable shows. Definitely Doc, but I don't want Donyale already talked about the Doc one. So we had Ira Vaughn on the show.
I just
Ira,
talked to Ira.
you just talked to him,
I just talked to her a couple months
man.
ago.
Listen, that brother there is so much fun. He is very animated, man. But he told us about how Rock the House was borrowed and never returned from
Mhm.
Gremlin and made it our staple when it comes to like
Wow.
in the vet. Like, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to, tear it too long on it. But long story short, they were at the game in Gremlin. It was probably 80, man, I don't know. It was 80 something. And they were playing Rocks the House. Gremlin was playing Rocks the House. Dow Taylor called our Vaughn over as drum major at the time. He said, Vaughn, come over here. He said, you see that? Look at the crowd. We need that. And then our Vaughn was like, okay. And we went back to Jackson the next day. Well, when the next rehearsal came around, they had rocks the house, and it's been JSU ever since then. So
Wow.
it's a crazy story because so that right there, that's a story. That was a for me. That was a I never knew that because I never knew.
Yeah.
I never knew how it came. I've heard about it, but I never knew exactly how it actually became Jackson State's staple tune. So that was a moment, man. And it's so many other moments. Definitely the Doc Show. And I'm gonna give one more. And you said one, and I gotta share this one. We've had some great guests on, but man, like Dr. Magruder and
Oh,
my uncle, Dr. Magruder and my uncle, they're frat brothers. Well, yeah, y'all frat brothers. So
Mhm.
Dr. Magruder, when my first day at band camp, Dr. Magruder approached me because he knew that I was coming to the boom. Because my
Okay.
uncle had already told him, yo, my nephew coming, blah, blah, blah. You know how that story go. So man, Dr. Magruder, when he came on the show, man, I was able to like just tell him, I appreciate him for just looking out for me. He didn't save me from anything or anything, but it's like that whole that whole HBCU experience. That is what the HBCU experience is about. When somebody got you, when they can take care of you, like he made sure that nothing went wrong with me, and it was because of the love that he had for my uncle, and of course of the love he had for students. Clearly, he was taking care of all the students, but for him to come up to me, I don't know who else he came up to, but he came up to me, and I remember him coming up to me, and I was a freshman, shaking in my boots. He came up to me and said, "Yeah, I'm your uncle frat brother." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I called my uncle. I was like, so I met this guy. He said, "You're a frat brother." He said, "Yeah. I told him you were coming." So, that was a moment right there. That was it. That's it. That's all I got. Because I could. If I start thinking too much, and I'll get to rambling. I don't want to do that. So that's it. That's mine. That's mine.
That's pretty dope. So I chopped it up with Ira Vaughn. Okay.
mhm.
He he was not about the foolishness. Okay.
Yeah.
That was special for me because sometimes you don't know who you talking to. You know what I'm saying? And he's from that time where I don't know if he was like, nah, that wasn't cool, or like they were all, they were all off the hook or something like that. He told me that he went and talked when I talked about his college selection process. He said he wanted to go to Southern, and uh he told Dow Taylor, I'm going to Southern. Dow Taylor said, all right, I tell you what, I'm giving you a scholarship, and I'm just gonna hold on to it. So you can go to Southern. I'm gonna keep your scholarship. And and Vaughn was like, okay, I appreciate that. Uh Went to Southern, and he said even going down there at like band camp, he said it was off the hook. He said next level, like you wouldn't believe. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, I'm not ready to be a part of that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And he was stark like that has no place in band. Like, you know what I'm saying? So he goes back to Jackson, and he told Dow Taylor what happened. And Dow Taylor said, he said, yeah, I know. He said, I didn't tell you that because I didn't want to deter your decision, but I always was gonna hold this scholarship for you because I knew what was going on, and I know you and your family. I knew that you weren't going down there for that. So that's how Ira told me he ended up at Jackson State, because he said he wasn't going to Jackson State. He was going to
Mhm.
Southern. But he said he got down there and he was like, no way. And came right back home. I was like, wow, really?
It's
And
a few
he's
stories like that.
yeah,
Stories
yeah,
about how people got snatched from where they thought they was going.
right.
The
Lucky
one
for
of the
you.
one of the examples, yeah, Ira told us that story as well.
Mhm.
And he basically was like, "You'll be back."
Yeah.
um, a part of the Blake Gaines story that I didn't tell, or why that's one of my favorite episodes, or I would say stories, right? Most but one of my favorite stories is how blowing fanfare came about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he talked about how they were on the field. I don't remember what school they were playing, but they were on the field. Harold Houghton said he wanted a fanfare that was going to, blow uh the crowd and the band away, right, for the intro of the show that they were doing. So Blake Gaines said he ran all the way back to the music building,
Yep.
played it out on piano, wrote it
Mm-hmm.
out for all of the sections, made copies, and had it ready for when they got back from the practice field. And the rest is history. I asked him why he named it blowing, and he said because that's what we was doing.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But he tells the whole story on the episode, of that episode, where how it came about and what inspired him, and you know the difference is a difference in how it's played today, between now and then.
Yep.
The original, how that
Yep.
sounded and how it sounds and is executed now, and that whole thing. That was just, that's one of those things, like where like Rocks the House came from. It's like
Uh-huh.
where the origin story, like where did
Oh
it
my
come
God.
Right.
from. And that's why that's one of my favorite episodes. It's an origin story from the person who was involved in it. Like why the Ira Vaughn story is important, because it's like he was there,
Right.
like it was said to him in his ear, like we got to do that, and they had a
Yep.
conversation about the same thing with Blake Gaines and Harold Houghton. Like, I want you to place, and it wasn't apparently like the first version of it was like, all right, bet. Because
Yeah.
he didn't say he had to rewrite it. He didn't say like
Mm-mm.
it didn't work. It was
It was
like,
lit.
yeah, that's what we doing. So yeah, that's a part of the Blake Gaines story I wanted to share.
Yeah.
I like that the story you guys told, because I didn't know that about Rocks the House either. What's funny is that out of all the Gremlin people I know, and now it's online, you never heard somebody from Gremlin say that. I haven't.
No,
You know what I'm
they just
saying?
let it go.
That
Mhm.
We
yeah.
lost it. They took it.
Right.
So long ago, I feel like,
Mhm.
but there are people that were in the band, in the boom at that time, that were not cool with it because they knew
Yeah.
where we got it from.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a conversation. It was
Mhm.
I think Rod Johnson, and they were talking about, like, Rod was cool with it, but they were talking, but his
Somebody
frat
else
brother,
let that go.
yeah, it was like he was like, I ain't like it. I was like, why
Mhm.
not? He was like, cause that was like what,
That was
like,
their stuff.
yeah. So I know they were more than just one person that felt that way. Like, why we doing that? But here it is today.
Yeah.
Here it is
You-
today.
It's like
That's
it's
that's
like this.
crazy.
This what it's like. It's like you have a car that is considered an old, beat up, hoopty, scoot around, poot around car, and you don't like it, or you driving it just because, and then you get rid of it, or someone takes it and you say, "Oh well, somebody got
And
my
they put
car."
that mirror tint on it.
They put the mirror
Yeah.
tint on it. They put the rim.
Hey, that's what
Told
it
you.
is. That's what they put
So
that T-Reason 10
they
on
put
it.
the tint on it. They put some wheels on it. Put a system in the back, and
It's
now
different now.
it's
It's
more
different.
desirable.
It's different.
Hey.
Right.
Okay,
Love
that's it.
it.
That's it. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
I want to jump on this though. My favorite episode because because I've had enough time to think about it. Um, all of my episodes, um, all the episodes that I've enjoyed the most are the band directors. Um,
Okay.
it's something about it. Like you just get a whole different vibe, a whole different esprit de corps, like just a whole just the leadership comes out, right? So like when
Mhm.
you're talking about Dr. Magruder, it was an outstanding interview, and you end up learning things, and because he marched with us, you can bring up situations that were friction, and then
Mm,
as an adult now, you kind of understand where he came from. You didn't like it
mhm.
at the time, but like as an adult, I still don't like it, but you understand it, right? With Dr. Liddell. Um, um, other than we just had episode with my sister, and that was personal. One of my favorite episodes, by far, outside of Dr. Rod, and we call him Dr. Thundercat, because like that man can talk. You know what I'm saying? Like when he's talking, like I want to be in his band.
Mhm.
He that man is a leader. Like I'm comfortable with sending my kid to him to be in his band, right? But somebody that I marched with and has made an impact in the sonic boom of the South for over 25 years. That if you in the boom, you know about him. But if you not, this is the mastermind behind all the things that's coming or are happening within the boom musically is Kevin Johnson. Um, he's a close friend of mine, but in that episode, I learned things that I did not know, because you don't talk about that as a friend. We just talking life, and we occasionally talk music stuff, right? But just being in the band room when he was a freshman and he presented Thong Song, and it was good as a freshman, and freshmen don't teach songs. Like it's an automatic boo. Like when you stand up there,
Automatic. No.
like, but we're gonna give this a shot, and it's hot. Like up until like all the Kanye West songs he's written for the boom, and just the Earth, Wind and Fires and Golden Time of Day and all this type of stuff, and like even to right now, some of the Rose Bowl tunes and stuff like that. Being chief arranger, um, talking to him, and he's fun and he's funny, and people don't know that if you don't know him.
That's true. Yep.
And being able to have an avenue for people to see him be comfortable, because he's comfortable with me and Donyale and Terrell. He marched with Terrell, in the same section. He marched with all three of us, during the same time. And like we hang out, and to capture that on film for other people to see, was great for me, just to be able to be in a group, to create a moment for other people to see that he's human and he's an amazing talent. Like he's amazing. He's a genius at this stuff. And that was probably my most favorite episode. Kevin Johnson.
That's pretty dope. Now, Kevin Johnson, is he 98?
No,
2000
2000.
2000.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I
from New
probably
Orleans.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Him and
Yeah.
Cortez from Cortez High School.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. So
Uh
He ain't
I
that
guess
good. He
Cortez
ain't
from
98 good, but he's great.
yeah,
right.
he all right. Yeah,
right.
honorable mention. Yeah,
Right.
he all
Yeah.
right.
He's one of those
Yeah.
stars. One of those stars from his
Yeah.
class.
So let me ask you, Danielle, real quick. You were there at the Image Awards?
Yeah, when the
Oh,
band performed.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what's up, because I was in graduate school at that
Mm.
time, and I remember seeing you guys on TV. I didn't know you were there. That's pretty dope.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember seeing it on TV, and Cedric Entertainer looked like he had a drum major uniform on.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
him.
Yeah.
So
Custom fit.
yeah,
He did
that
rock the
was
house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that was my first time being like really proud on that national level, because
Mm.
Motown 30, like I hadn't been to school yet. That was more for my dad and more people back then.
Mhm.
I remember my cousins and all of that. So that was special for them, but that was the first time I saw us on TV somewhere, and I was in Pennsylvania watching that. Like that was really special for me. Um And then I can't remember other than the Rose Bowl seeing us on the stage. Oh, I do want to tell y'all. So at the Rose Bowl, they have what's called a band fest.
Yeah.
And all of the bands
Mhm.
come out there and they do a show because you're just marching in the parade.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in 2 days because of how many bands. And there were so many people there for Oregon. Ohio State was like the next day, and of course it was super popular that day. And then there was this band from Tokyo, and it was all girls, and
All
they were
girls,
like
yeah.
they were cold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they were unbelievable. I will still remember this, and y'all would totally understand this. The Boom was last that day. It was the last band, and Oregon was right before us. Everybody was there to see Oregon. And they were like, yeah, they were like, oh my God, they're so good. And people were like, oh my God, look at that. And they were
I
like,
love the intonation in your voice.
Me
yes.
too.
It was like, yeah, like, oh my God. That was
Love the
so
intonation.
unbelievable, right?
Love it.
So the announcer,
You just
he
code
must have
switched on us
known.
real quick. You
He
code
knew.
switched on. Okay, I'm sorry.
He was like, if you guys are waiting for a show, this is it or something. And everybody, all us had the pom-poms. Everybody, the pom-poms came out. So the other people were like, what is they were like, what is all this about? Like that, that blah 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 blah. And the Boom came out, and man, let me tell you, the Oregon people, all of them, they were like, oh my God. That was the first time I had seen expressions of seeing us, and it was like it totally, they were like in shock, like they were watching like a train crash or something like that, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And the Oregon band members, they
I've
do the
heard this.
show, and then they line up on the track and they do what's called a march through. I'm sure y'all have seen the
Yeah.
The
videos.
pass and review.
Yeah.
Right, there you go. Oregon had pulled out around the outside of the stadium, and their band was like, who, they were like, what in the heck? Like, it was so, they were like, it was just, everybody was blown away. I'll never forget that.
You can see them in the background, like staying and watching
They were,
when everybody else would leave.
What is going on here?
right. So when people were leaving,
What is?
that's how they were like, what it was. So I remember a lot of the older people that were in front of me when they did the passing review, they were counting. They were like, look how many, and they were counting. And I remember this one white woman said, they play Hero. Like, to her, it was like, wow, they're playing a like Doc say, they playing a pop tune. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, wow. And then people were like, wow, you guys are the real deal. Like, that was the first time, because Isaac, he went to Vegas when they played against UNLV, and he was telling me that's how people were talking to them, like, wow, like you got, like, but that was the first time I was actually there to see something like that. You know what I'm saying? So
I can only imagine.
it was a good day. I mean, it was a whole week because they went to Disneyland. They were at Inglewood High School. Whoever designed for them, it was perfect because they were everywhere showing out, all over LA and the Orange County area. It was pretty dope.
And that's a story, like waiting for a hero, a pop tune that
Yeah.
connects with a different demographic, but that sugar is blowing. You
Man,
know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it's cranking,
It's a
And-
funky. It's the funky. Listen.
you know that, but like with the Boom been doing that, like
Yeah.
playing, like in our time we played Couple Life from Ricky Martin, or a little bit after us, playing Toxic from Britney Spears, the top 40 pop songs, and I'm not gonna say Jackson State is the creator of that. Southern, they good for playing some pop songs and
Right.
playing some Madonna and things like that, but it's cool to have that type of tune, those tunes in your pocket, you know, when
Hmm.
you get in front of different audiences, you know, because what I love more about the Rose Bowl, when you look at the 4 or 5 tunes that they played during that, right? They did a Luther Vandross medley, you know.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Luther right now, like, since the Super Bowl with
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick Lamar, who made a song called Luther, and and Luther, like he's singing in the song, "If This
Mm-hmm.
World Was Mine." You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like
right.
it's relevant. Luther Vandross never sung at a Super Bowl halftime show, but he did. You know what I'm saying? And then like 3 weeks before that in the Rose Bowl, the Boom did a whole medley of
Mm-hmm.
Luther Vandross, and then they hid that in between, you know, holding out for a hero,
Mm-hmm.
and the Roses by Andre 3000. It's like the songs that they selected. It was crafted for
Mm-hmm.
the parade.
Right.
And it's beautiful that they're doing those type of things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's awesome right now for like I don't say for us, but like to be able to capture that and bring attention to it
Yeah.
because like it's easy for us to watch it and be like, oh, they did a really good job. No, let's talk about what it took to get to that point. But like the artistry, why did they pick these tunes? You know, why? Why is it successful? It's awesome to be a boomsman right now, man.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
awesome, man. I don't care like what year you came in. Like if you Sonic Boom, you know, put that on
Mm-hmm.
your chest because
Right.
like
Right. We're
this
proud.
wear that proud because these kids, they're young, they're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. They are, they are embodying the legacy of, what we've done, what people before of us done, and they enjoying it and they doing it to the fullest. And we see them I've been to events that these kids are playing and they see us and they like, like, thank you, like for because one of the things that we always try to do, we never want to be negative on the podcast.
Hmm.
We only want to highlight because you can get all the negativity in the message boards and then on
Right.
the
Cause
Facebook. You
somebody
know what I'm saying?
listen.
Like
Somebody tell you doing. Somebody tell you doing a good job at work. It's gonna make you do a better
do a
job.
better job,
Right.
like and we like shoot, we not doing this right now. You know what I'm saying? And we know how hard it was when we were doing it, so like right now, like nah, like whatever you doing is 110, 120, 200,000% better than what we were doing because we
Right.
know what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? Like so, like yeah, when we go to the game and I sit there at a celebration bowl and you playing "I'm So in Love with You" by Beyonce and it's filling up the whole auditorium, and I'm like, wow, if I'm at home and I'm sitting in front of the TV and this is Dion's years and we watching College Game Day and I see the Boom playing on TV, what I've seen hundreds of other schools do like countless times, but it's my school,
Mm-hmm.
like that I'm in tears. My son look at me like, Dad, are you crying? Like that he's doing as a troll, like yeah, I am crying because I love this school. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So like, yeah, man, like these kids have done a phenomenal job. So I'm so proud of them. And like on any platform that we ever on or that we're doing, like I want to make sure that and I think we all do. Like we all want to make sure that we shouting the students out because they doing a phenomenal job,
Yeah.
continuing the legacy of everything that we know. The Cecil Crosses, the Dr. Magrudas, the Dr. Liddells, the Dow Taylors, the Dr. Thundercat, all of just all of the band directors, the Herr Hoffmans, like we and a lot of this we wouldn't know if we weren't doing the podcast because
Right.
the stuff comes out, man. It's like, oh man, I wouldn't know this history if we weren't doing it. It's those Terrell moments. Wow,
I never
I
knew
didn't know that.
that.
I never
So,
heard that.
so, uh, Mr. Bethea, he's at Norfolk. Is that right?
hmm
Okay. Was he there when you guys got there?
He was my drum instructor in '98.
Yeah, he was there in
Okay.
98.
So all that stuff that went down, was that the end of 98 that he left?
'99.
No, he
99.
stayed. Yeah,
Like
Okay.
But he
band
was
camp
there. He
99.
was he was
Okay.
still '99. He was still like our I won't say percussion instructor. He was our like what's that percussion ensemble?
Right.
hmm
You know, he was for that. But so he was around. But I'm gonna tell you this about Bethea. Bethea taught like I don't know. I only worked under him. I only learned under him from in '98, and then spring '99 percussion ensemble, and then what was those things we had like applied lessons?
Yeah.
Applied.
If you
Yep.
on
Hell
schedule.
yeah.
So like I was an applied. I took applied under him, and I remember him telling me that he was proud of me because he saw a major difference between me being, coming in as a freshman to the end of my freshman year. So I know he had saw promise in me, right? And he leaned in towards me because Bethea was a core style player, and I was a core style player when I came in. He was a core style player when he came to Jackson State, who leaned into the show style, and so I was learning show style. So uh, Bethea was impeccable to WT. But what he did do for WT, and if you listen to WT pre he before he came there, what we got in the drum section, we call it any damn song, and it's just 2 and 4 and a bass drumlet, and then a fill. Arrangements for percussion. So like when you listen to like 777 9311, you hear like you hear
Oh
like
wow.
you hear intrasequences and stuff like that. Like when you hear soft and wet, like it sounds like the drum set part, from the snare drum, the tenor drums, or the tenor drums on the drum set. You hear all of that because he wrote all those parts sitting down at a drum set and then writing that stuff down and then
Wow.
coming into the drum room and like here's the music and teaching, not how to read, but like, okay, this is what we need here. And then, okay, y'all put some flashes in there. So like he did that. But in '99, when he wasn't there and he wasn't writing anymore, that was the Cup of Life. That was um couldn't we be happily ever after, things like that. We
meeting in
all
my
did
bedroom.
that. Meeting in my bedroom, we all did that based off of the teachings of Bethea. Like, so like it was like, okay, this is what you hear here. This is what's going on here. And we did that. That was my first time collaborating
He's still
with,
doing that today
yes. And I'm still
with
doing that
Dr.
today.
Sherrod.
Yep.
I'm saying what Bethea started
Yep.
with that in 98, well,
Yep.
writing parts in 97 or
Mhm.
whenever he started to that's going on now. That's
Right
dope.
now. And Dr. Sherrod is doing that. He's continuing that legacy. And it's crazy because like we didn't know what we were doing. We just knew like, okay, this is the song and we got to create a part and let's go ahead and do it. And we just talked and we were like, okay, let's do this. This that's whack. Let's not do that. This is cool. Let's do that. And it all worked out, for years, So like shout out to William Mathia. He's an integral part in the Sonic Boom sound.
Yeah. I actually have a Bethea story.
Mhm.
I remember he used to drive, he had a red Sebring, them Chrysler Sebring. You remember them back in the day in the 90s? He had a red one. And I remember he used to roll around and he would play Silk the Shocker on the yard. Like he would come on and off campus playing Silk the Shocker. And I remember thinking, like, wow, like when you finish college and get a master's, do you still listen to that type of music? You know what I'm saying? And he did. Um, And then my other story, we had him for music appreciation. And I remember thinking, ah, man, we about to get an easy A. And all of us in the band, we would roll up in there. We would dapping each other up. What's up, dog? Like, you know what I'm saying? We this chilling time. We be in the back chilling, you know, like, what's up, Mr. Bethea? What's up, man? You know, and he was on our ass, man. I'll never forget that. He was making
Who
sure
you?
we were on our right. It wasn't about to be easy. So that's kind of the thing. Like, that was always my theme about all our directors. Like, they appreciate us and they loved us, but they wanted us to be tight. Like,
Better.
they wouldn't let us, like, you know, it wasn't nothing easy. So
Mhm.
I remember he would give us assignments, and he was super tough on everybody that was in the band. And I was like, man, this supposed to be easy, man. You tripping, like, you know what I'm saying?
No.
And then he all gave us all B's, and we had to like step up and do something to get an A. Like, we had to always go above and beyond his assignments. And I was like, damn, man, like, you making me mad. I needed this A, you know what I'm saying, for all the classes I did not go to because I was just tripping about being in a band. You know what I'm saying? I need this A, brother, you know. But so yeah, shout out to him, man. And I hope he's doing well. I only seen him on things bits and pieces, but I haven't been able to get a hold of him. I eventually think I will. Um, but yeah, shout out to him as well. We really had a really like an all-star group of directors.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Dream
Oh,
saying?
team.
hand down.
We
Dream
were
team.
really lucky.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And so all of them are still, you know, other than Pop, rest in peace, but all of them are still, and I guess Doc's retired, but it's really cool to see Ollie doing really, really well
Mhm.
at his school.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we coming to the end of the interview, and I appreciate y'all's time. I appreciate everything that y'all doing. Like I said, y'all take me back, man. 98, especially you, Donyale. Like, man, I just thinking about so many stories, man. We would have to have like exclusive access. Certain people gotta have like a subscription to talk about some of these
Uh-huh.
stories. But oh my
Man.
god, man, like, we had so much respect for y'all. And let me tell you something. Isaac, God, he was so funny. He was
Yes.
so funny. Oh my god. He made
Still
me
is.
laugh. Really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had talked to him in a long time, but he was so funny, man. Um, I did interview Curtis. Um, you know, being a band director and all of that. But I just remember Curtis was really good, man. He fit right in. I remember that he fit right in, and he was doing really, really well. He didn't have any confidence about what he was doing until like after the encore game, though, which was always so funny.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, right, right. Um, but man, but Isaac, man, I think I did. Oh God, he was so funny. But y'all, man, y'all just so
Yeah,
good in my
we
heart, man.
we had some characters. We had some real characters on our that 98 class for sure. Harvey, Kurt, Trevor,
Yeah.
Isaac. Trevor and Isaac were like the dynamic duo. Sid, Chef,
Yeah.
Yes.
Alex.
Alex,
Alex.
Gabe.
Alex,
Mhm.
he's in Dallas DJing, and my
Mhm.
sister's in Dallas, and I remember she called me and told me she had met Alex and was talking to Alex and all this stuff. Um, I actually remember, okay, real quick, Southern game, we at Southern, and you remember how horrible they were to us, the crowd.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Alex was so Alex was so scared. Y'all remember the J sets got mad about something
Yeah,
and
and they
was
didn't perform.
protesting and
Yeah,
they
we
Yeah.
didn't
didn't
have Jay
perform.
says that game.
And they
That
were at
game.
the
That
game
game.
though.
They were at the
Right.
game with their pom poms. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I ain't ready. Okay. I ain't ready to go and say nothing about that, but that's what they did. So
That's it.
then
Yeah.
we had to have the baton twirler
Mhm.
as part of there. Okay. Alex was so scared. So like when we got into the formation for like the play, I was next to Alex, and Alex was like this, like shaky, cause like everything, like and I was like, Alex, are you all right, man? Like you can play, and he was like, no, he was like, no. Oh my god, I don't think he had seen all of that before. But I remember, and then even we got up in the stands, they were throwing like bottles and
Bottles. Yeah,
stuff.
we had to
Rocks.
put our
Yep.
hats on. We had to
They
put our
had the
helmets on.
conversation.
Right. We
Helmets.
got on the bus, and Dr. Magruder was like, somebody called in a bomb threat. Everybody get on the floor. Like, I mean, that whole experience, I'll never forget that. But I'll never remember Alex was on the field, like terrified, like they were going to start shooting at us while we were on the field. And I'm like, Alex, it's all right, man. And so, like, that was when it was like, all right, we can't be like necessarily messing around. Like, we still a team. I was like, Alex, we a team, man. We ain't tripping about all that. We in uniform. And he was like, all right. But
Yeah, what, Chris
They
Curtis?
gonna let us kill
Chris
us.
Curtis?
yeah,
Yeah,
he was scared on the field. Like, it was not play. And yeah, I remember that. It was, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If
I
I
never
think,
knew that. I never heard this story. I didn't know.
yeah.
Oh, I mean,
he,
we
I
were all
can't.
scared, but I didn't know.
right.
Like,
I can't wait. I can't wait to this. I can go back and say, hey, fast forward to the
58
257
mark.
mark. No, it was 257. When he said Alex, I looked up. I looked at the time. I'm gonna
ah!
text him. I'll be like, look, go to the 257 mark and
Yes.
just listen. I cannot wait.
Alex was not playing. He was like, no, he was cool. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that class, man, y'all were so special, man. I'm telling you, man, I really appreciate that about y'all. And so that's why that's again, it's the added thing where y'all got this show now, and I march with y'all. Like I remember y'all. It's like I was in the band with them, and I'm just really proud of what y'all are doing.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it,
I
man.
always
Thank
send
you.
out the show. It's cool, like I say, it's cool that I get the email because I guess they go out to everybody about
Yeah.
everybody alumni when y'all on.
Right. Well,
With the
Carl knows.
boom, yeah, the tiny boom.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Sunny Boom. Yeah, if you're on the email list, of course you're gonna get it. And then
yeah,
sometimes it's posted. Usually it's always posted on the Sunny Boom Alumni Association page. Then
yeah.
there's I mean group, and then there's Boominati's other groups. I can't remember. It's like
Mm.
four Sonic Boom groups, and it's always in there. But nah, man, I so let me say this, Joe. Um, I've been watching your show for years, and I have always wanted to be on your show. Literally, like just all of the antics that you have, the hand claps, the music, just the
Yeah.
platform itself, how clear, crystal clear it looks and sound. Like just me being a broadcasting guy, like I've always enjoyed it and admired it. I've always wanted to be on your show. Like, man, I want to get on there and talk and tell some things. But man, I'm grateful now. The timing is everything. Timing is everything, and I would have not wanted to be on the show. If I could go back in time to know that I could be on the show with Toby and Donyale talking about band session with the boom, I would have said, well, no, let me wait until I get with Toby and Donyale, then we can talk. Because
Hey,
I feel like me
right.
being on it, me personally, I don't feel like I would have brought enough. I probably would have been, me myself, antics and funny stuff, whatever. But just to have, just to be able to talk about our journeys together, because we're a team, our journeys together just from where we started. And I appreciate everything that you've done here, man. So, and I appreciate what you're doing, man. So just keep grinding, man. I know the going get tough and the tough get going and all that, all those sayings that they come up with. But man, like you got a platform, man, that's really, really, really dope, and people tune in, people like it, people love it, people been watching, and you still rocking, 2011, come on, man.
Yeah.
2011, that's a long
Right.
time. That's a long
Mhm.
time. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2011 is a long time.
It's funny. I appreciate that, man. And I remember when actually I first talked to you and you were gonna be doing like an entertainment something with your family, like the
Hmm.
Keys.
Yep. Hmm.
And I was like, wow, I need to promote this.
Yep.
And then either something happened or something,
COVID.
and I wasn't able to jump on, because that's the other thing, because this is like, because other than other me working as an engineer, I also teach, and I'm also now helping out coaching at my daughter's school, and like it's a lot. So when I try to get motivated to do stuff, and I do it, but definitely with the when the virus came, it was like 2 years I didn't do anything
Yeah.
because it was just kind of tough because I was here
Mhm.
with my kids and my
Hey,
wife. They didn't care. They were like, we don't care about no damn virus. You bringing your ass to work every day, like, and
Mhm.
she would be at work till like 7 o'clock, and I would be here with my kids all day. I would be working, and then I would have them working off, and then they were doing their stuff in their classes, and so it was a lot. After a while, we would just get in the car and drive around just to get
Mhm.
out the house.
That's right.
Yeah. I
It
did
was a
that.
trip.
Yeah.
It was a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that y'all are on the upswing, so
Yeah.
I can see much more of what
Mhm.
you guys are doing. And
Yes.
like they said, we all get the emails.
Joe, a
So
lot coming,
everyone
man.
hear
A
it.
lot coming, man.
Yeah.
A lot
So
coming,
Joe,
man.
let me put this, Joe. So like, if one of the things that is so I mentioned, we were on all platforms. If you just type in band sessions with the boom, it's gonna come up everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And so like
TikTok,
when we're on
Instagram.
YouTube, yeah, all of it, TikTok, Instagram. So if you the cool thing about it, if when you type in band sessions with the boom, all of the videos come up in a row on YouTube, on all of the platforms. Like it's not like if you just type in the word water, then a whole bunch of videos of water will come
Right.
up. It's like it's not. So like we were on so we're on Tiger Talk TV. But before we were on Tiger Talk TV, the platform had another name, but the name has changed to Tiger Talk TV. But you'll still see. So you go to Tiger Talk TV, you won't see all of the old shows. Like I'll say when we first started, like the Dog and the Kevin Johnsons, like that was on the older platform, but it's still titled
If you
Band
go
Sessions
band
with the
session with the
Boom.
boom,
So you type
you got it.
you just type in band session with the boom and you got it. You got it. Every show is under band session with the boom, and then we have the person's name that we interviewed or whatever the show was about. Like we had one show where we when the infamous longest battle ever when Southern and Jackson State battled in '95, and they cut the lights off, and the boom and Southern were still in there, and they had to jump the gate to get out. I don't know how true that is, but anyway, they had to figure out a way to get out of there. But anyway, so something like that, just those stories, all that
To
stuff
me,
is
yeah.
there. So for people who want to
Yeah.
catch up and catch up on the old shows, yep. And
Okay.
that's it.
Will do. I wish I had. I know I'm a add a scene. It was like a scene where I could like share my screen or
Hmm.
something like that. I'll figure it out. But yeah, I done pulled it up on my other screen over here, and I'm looking at it now. So yeah, y'all done talked to Kevin Lelane. I remember him.
Yeah.
Levine,
Levine?
talking about
Levine,
yeah,
yeah,
Levine, yeah.
I
He was
remember his face.
Yeah, security.
hmm So you remember
Damn.
he did our PT. He did our PT in the
Yeah.
mornings. Was it in the morning or
Wow.
in the evening?
It was in the
Morning,
evening.
evening.
Our freshman years in the morning. After that,
Joe,
It
Okay,
seemed
okay.
like it's people
Joe,
like I see
two
him and I
episodes,
forget.
great episodes. Two great episodes. He has so much history in his head that we didn't even know about when he was standing in front of us.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
the
Yeah,
man is a
part
walker.
two.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets
Wow.
real good. It's a lot of stuff in there. It's a lot of stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Hmm.
This is really cool. Like I said, it's really cool to see all this because man, a lot of this stuff takes me back. Like his seeing him, like his face, like it's like wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's like somebody I totally forgot about. Now I'm seeing his face now. Like, wow,
Hmm.
that's crazy. Like,
That
um,
Yep.
wow is crazy is why we do it.
right,
mm-hmm.
Yep.
right,
Just the wow is crazy.
Hmm.
right.
It's crazy.
But
Hey, we ain't thinking
but
about that.
so the crazy thing, Joe, like the same thing with your shows, man. When you get guests on and they tell you stories, man. Lieutenant Levine got on our show, told us some crazy stories that had us with our eyes wide open, like what? What? You? What? The boom did what? What? For real? crazy, man. It's
Let
crazy.
me see.
Definitely
Let me
crazy,
see
man.
if I could do it
Yeah.
here.
Like something happened.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if I could because I always wanted to have like a little share window type of joint on my
Mm.
show. Yeah, can
Uh-oh.
y'all see that?
We
Mm-hmm.
can. Dun dun dun. Kevin Levine.
Can y'all hear it?
Mhm.
Not yet.
Uh, nah.
No,
Is it
it's
playing?
probably because the
Yeah, it's playing.
audio is playing through like my ear. Yeah.
Oh, you got it muted. You got it muted.
I'm muted.
Oh, yes, this is my first time doing it because I was wondering if I could have like a part of my show where I could share my screen.
Yeah,
Can
you
y'all
can't.
hear it?
Mm-mm.
Nah, not on this end.
Yeah.
I know what
That's
he's
crazy.
saying though. I know what he's talking.
So right there, it just in case. So he has a band. He has a bandage. Oh, that was so funny. It'd be some funny stuff happen. So he has a band-aid on his neck. All right, and he talked about he had a little small incision, a little something that he had to get
He
removed.
had to get rid of
And
the
he talked about
CPAP.
I forgot what it was.
Yeah, it
Right,
had to.
CPAP. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he put the disclaimer out there, Joe. He was like, "Look, I want y'all to know this is not a hickey on my neck." And we fell
Okay.
out. I'm
We
like,
talked about a
you
hickey for
telling
15
your
minutes.
age. We did. We talked about 15. Like, who's
We
still
didn't
putting
know that
hickeys
was
on
coming.
folks' necks? Like you like the more you telling your age, all our ages, and then who putting hickeys on folks' neck at 25, sir? No, come on now. But I was like, man, don't nobody like you made the incision bigger or noticeable
Right,
with
right.
the big bandage on it that is not the same color as your skin. So I can keep going on.
That's dope. That's dope.
But no, man, we enjoyed it, man. We talk about, man. So
Man, Kelvin
I'm not.
Jones. I'm looking at his list. Kelvin Jones. He was the head band director at LSU. Who
Associate band director.
yeah, SOP.
No, he was the marching band
He was the
director.
marching
The
head director.
marching band
Yeah,
director.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he's doing like huge stuff right now. He left right after we like oh right after he did the interview with us, and he was candid in the interview. Like we was like oh my
Mhm.
god like. And then like a week later, it was like, oh, it was announced that he wasn't the head band director anymore. It was
He
like,
resigned or something.
yeah,
Something like
was it
that.
because of
Wow.
something you said on the show? He was like, nah, I knew I was leaving.
He was
Like
like, "That's
literally.
why." Yeah, he was like, "That's why I was so candid on the show."
Yeah.
But it was
Like
like
this is my
perfect
my
timing.
exit. It's like this is my exit right here. Like,
You
let me
know,
Yeah.
and
go.
he's owning half of like Baton Rouge and that portion of Louisiana right now in real estate, and he's like he just wants to take control of his life and
Mhm.
not have to depend. You know, it's
Mhm.
just an outstanding interview. Like those type of things. That one, the headband director Edna Carr, Chalupa. You know, like it's
Christopher
so
Herrera.
many that we don't talk about that
Mhm.
were great episodes that we gained so much. Chalupa, he was the head. He went to Edna Carr as a high school student, went to Jackson State, and then his first head band directing gig was Edna Carr. He went back home. You know, like he only that's the program he knows, and he's killing it down there. So like it's just so many people that we've had the opportunity to James Westby,
So look, I'm looking at this. I'm
Ramu
looking at
Cunning,
this. I'm looking at this. Like I didn't even think
Curtis
about
Lucky.
Googling. Like I was talking about on YouTube. Like if you go to
Yeah.
YouTube and type in band session with
Oh
Bruno, so
yeah.
you on Google, which is
Yeah.
even easier. It's even better, like to go to Google because that's all you see. I mean, of course, on YouTube you'll see a couple other videos, but let me tell you something though. So Joe, I know you said you were trying to wrap this up, and we started talking.
Yeah.
Listen, because you've opened up another can of worms,
I
man. We
know.
had. Did you see the Tammy Miles episode?
Tim.
No.
First female drum major. We had Tammy
No.
Miles on. Wonderful show, wonderful episode. Man, her grind, and I learned so much at that time. And we went to high school together, and man, we talked about some things. We didn't hash out some things, but we talked about how we were not very nice to her. We
You
were
could
not very
imagine,
nice.
Joe. You could imagine,
Yes.
Joe. You could imagine how that was
Yes.
a
Oh yeah.
female drum major for the first time ever in front of the
Oh
band.
man, we talked about it, but she talked about how she was like, I didn't, I was cool with that. I knew that was coming. I was like, for real? You were cool with that? Like you knew? She like, yeah, I had to earn y'all respect. I'm like, what? So you okay, cool. So I'm glad I did, be not so nice. But no, it was just in all seriousness though, like it was just man, because now that I'm looking at you pulled this up and it's taking my mind back and I don't want that. That'll be another 30, 45 minutes talking, man.
I
But
know, I know.
the
Cause
Dayton
now,
episode, the Dayton was, oh
Dathan,
my
oh my
goodness,
God,
Dayton was
like
he is a character. He in Memphis, right? Well, he in St. Louis now, but he was in Memphis yesterday.
what?
He's
yeah, he was in the
yeah,
or
no, not living. So he lives in
no,
Atlanta, but he's an actor. He
actor,
performs all over
yeah,
the place. And
theater.
they were in Memphis doing they had a play, Friday and Saturday. It was Jason Lear, and they in St. Louis doing the show. So he travels. He was here for the Rick
Hmm.
James story. They did a
Hmm.
play, and what's the other one? Man, goodness gracious, now I can't even think of it. New Jack City.
Yep.
They did a New Jack City play. It was here in Memphis. Went to go see it at the Orpheum. Great performer, man. The man is talented. You gotta watch all the
Mm.
shows. You got some homework to
Mar-
do, Joe.
I
Maurice
know, right?
Gibson. That's a
Yeah,
great one.
you gotta watch that one. You gotta watch that one.
So
Look, we
Barn
had
Frosty.
Maurice
You saw the
son
Barn
on.
Frosty?
Look,
Yeah.
we stayed talking. Yeah, we're gonna be
I
48
know.
more minutes.
I
Let's
can't
stop.
believe it's 8:44. So I know it's
Hallelujah.
late
Man,
over
take
there
this
for
off, man.
y'all.
Take this off. It's
I know.
11:40. It's
It's almost midnight
11:44
in Florida.
where Toby is.
All right. So first of all, let me give y'all. Let me pull this up. Let me make sure I give y'all a round of applause.
I love that. I love that. I love it.
Yeah, that's the March on Washington.
I was out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Was
I was out there.
your
I had
mama?
to on the right side with the sunglasses. You didn't see it.
With your pig foot, your pig your sandwich.
So I appreciate y'all. Like I said, I'm just really proud of what y'all doing. This is dope what y'all doing. So keep it going because I'm definitely be watching and I definitely share it out. I'll probably even get with y'all to send me like that logo y'all have so I
Yeah,
can put it on my thing like this and I can start putting it
cool.
on the thing so that people will see it. And then on this other screen, y'all see where I do the ticker. Let me see that. It's this one. Yeah, y'all see the ticker at the bottom. I could at least say, y'all check out y'all show down here too.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Cool. Thank you,
yeah.
man.
Because I
Appreciate
try to
that.
spread as much information as possible to folks. Because this whole internet podcast thing, it helps when you share and tell people about it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
no doubt.
and it'll help definitely spread about the school. Because I definitely started this about HBCU bands and HBCU, but at the same time, if I could say something about Jackson State too, like you know what I'm saying.
I mean,
It
why not?
always helps.
Just
Right.
it all helps the cause, baby. It's D. I
Right.
love.
D.I.
Yeah.
love.
Right.
See what I
And
did?
it also helps
Sure.
too, because when we were hardcore doing the 90-degree show, I'm talking with 3-4 other people that went to different schools. So
Mhm.
it's hard to kind of like not say stuff. Like sometimes I would go off on Alcorn and they would be like, "Oh man, why you tripping? Alcorn is good." And I was like, "No, they're not." Like, but that was some of my bias coming out. But y'all would understand when I say
Oh
something.
yes, it's
Right.
terrible.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So we come to the end of the show, and then I want to give you each, if there's something that you want to say, like a sign off or advice or something that you want to send out to whoever, um, go ahead and do that before we close out the show. And Donyale, I'll start with you. Anything to say before we land the show?
No, I just thank you for having us on. It's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of memories, and all the good stuff. And I just want to tell the people that are watching to check us out. Band Sessions with the Boom. You can follow us on Instagram at Band Sessions with the Boom. It's under my name. It's right there. And check us out on all platforms: YouTube, Amazon, Spotify. I appreciate it. And continue to support uh Joe's podcast. chopping it up. So yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Terrell, anything to say to land the show?
Yes, sir. I want to say thank you for having us. Thank you guys for tuning in to us, and thank you for future supporters of Band Sessions with the Boom and continued supporters of the Marching Podcast. That's all I got, my good sir. D, I love.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. And Toby, anything you say to land out the show?
Hey, Danielle and Terrell has already said it. As far as I want to share our appreciation for you bringing us on to the podcast, to chopping it up. Um, on our podcast, we do this thing where we give flowers, and I want to give you your flowers because from day one, I'm not Trump folk, but I remember you. You made impact on me in 1998. You were always so chill. Like you was a
He was.
calm storm in chaos. And that's what the Sonic Boom was, during our time. It was a chaos that could perform on Saturday. And
Mhm.
and you were always a calming force. And I remember seeing you walk in the band hall, walk out the band hall, and it was always a systematic, sense of, I know why I'm here. This is what I'm going to do. This is my job, and I'm going to be consistent in that in that moment. And you were always consistent in that, and I appreciate you for showing us that. Even though I wasn't a part of Trump Funk, I could see that from where I was sitting, and you made impact on all of us. So I appreciate what you did back then and what you're doing right now. You said you've been doing it since 2011 with the podcast world. You got into the podcasting with before, like, it was popping.
Man, what?
Before it was for
Yeah.
yep, way before it was popular.
You like it says stuff like, you're like, this is something that's gonna be popping in the podcasting world right now. It's popping. So like I appreciate like everything that you've done to get us to this point. And like it wouldn't be no band session with the boom without chopping it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like we just center it all around the boom, but like what you're doing is influential, and we appreciate you bringing us on the show. So those your flowers, man. We appreciate you. You're an awesome human being, and you giving back.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
I got one more thing to
appreciate
say
that.
though. One
Yeah.
more thing. You said something about consistency,
Mhm.
right? Him being consistent.
Yeah.
You knew like he had a presence, right?
Right.
Every day. I'm gonna tell you a Joe memory I
Oh,
had.
man. Okay.
Every day, right? Our freshman year, I remember we had a chalkboard, right? Remember that raggedy chalkboard we had in the band room before we painted it, and
Mhm.
we had this raggedy chalkboard. And Joe would come in quietly, do his thing. Everybody, warming up, doing their push-ups, whatever they got going on, right? As we waiting for band practice to start. But Joe would come down there. There used to be one word that he would write on the chalkboard every day when he got to practice. And it was medic.
Medic.
Oh
And
my God.
No, man.
Oh my God. You remember that? Oh my God.
every day. And I didn't get it at first.
Oh my God.
Like immediately. But it only took, a couple seconds for me. Oh, okay. But yeah, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. That was like not everybody wrote on the chalkboard. You know what I mean?
But he did it every day.
But he did it every day.
He did.
If there wasn't a list of songs there, yeah,
Why
every
did I?
day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he wouldn't
it
erase it
was.
or nothing, but he would find somewhere to put it for sure.
Yeah.
That was
That
fun.
does, and I was trying to be funny because that was part of it. Because y'all remember it was kind of rough, and so I tried to make people laugh because that later on that was consistent, even with like pledging and all that stuff like that. I definitely wasn't into the crazy intensity stuff, but I
Mhm.
did try to make people laugh. Because that was always funny to me because they
Not Joe Froze.
Hey,
This
Okay.
whole time.
Well, we can
all
handle
right.
this. So, ladies and gentlemen, we still here. If y'all still here, thank y'all for tuning in to the Marching Podcast. This is Chopping It Up with Band Sessions with the
Mhm.
Boom. It's your boy, Terrel Key, aka T
And it's your
Reese.
girl.
It's your boy. It is your boy Toby
Johnson.
Johnson, aka Furious Styles. Hey, and I'm not
Hey,
producing, so I can't end this.
Wow,
Good.
no, he back. He back. Joe, we held it down while you
Yeah.
were gone,
man.
baby. You said you missed it. You got to go back and see the replay. You
Yeah.
got to go
I was
back and
about
see
to
the
say
replay. We
something
held it
happened.
down
Something happened. I don't know what it.
for 12 seconds. We had you. We had you for 12
Mhm.
seconds. Now, see, if you didn't have nobody on here, if it
They
was
just would have
just
been
you,
sitting there.
it would have been 12
Right.
seconds of dead air. We
It
don't
would have
do
been
dead
like,
air, sir. In the TV world, it would have been like,
So he go.
See, I appreciate that.
folks, folks would have been refreshing their computer, like, man, what's
Yeah,
going on?
they
Why
would
he
have
sitting
left.
there
The show
froze?
just would have been
Did he
over.
take?
yeah. I don't know what
Yep,
happened.
numbers would have dropped.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all. But wow, that was great, boy. You took me back with that. It's so much stuff like that. But that's the cool thing where you actually talk and people remind you of stuff. Like I wonder if Alex remembers that story. And he
Right.
was just out
I
there.
never
I
even
bet you he
heard
do.
it. I never heard this story. And he probably didn't
I'm
even
finna
think
text
about
him
it
in a
like
minute.
that to remember it, to be like, man, I remember I was shaking in my boots and Joe said something to me.
Oh, like Alex.
Hey Joe, so Joe, what's crazy is, and I promise you, we can get off because I mean it's time to go. Listen, on one of our episodes, I told the story about Alex having to put his hat on when they were throwing the bottles and the rocks at us. Like I told that story in one of our earlier
Mhm.
shows. We were talking about, I don't know, most memorable games or what. It was one of our questions that we had for it was just us three. We didn't have a guest on, I don't think. And I told that story, and it's crazy. You told the same story. Like, oh, he remember. I
Mhm.
guarantee you, he remember. But I'm gonna text. I'm finna
Yeah.
text him now. 2:57 mark. Fast forward. No, actually, watch the whole show. But at the 2:57 mark, tune
Yeah.
in.
Cause Alex, like breathe. I mean, I remember like looking, cause you remember we were kind of mad about the J set thing, and we just out there playing for the twirler, and we were like, whatever, you know what I'm saying at that point.
Mhm.
But man, them
Yeah.
people were hostile. I'll never forget that. I just never will. All right, y'all.
Mhm.
All right, y'all. I sure appreciate it. Love you guys. Appreciate it.
Love you
Keep
too, bro.
Love
blowing
you too,
up.
Joe.
I'll be watching. If you're interested in becoming a patron to the Martian Podcast, please contact the show and give us your information so we can start to pub your business using our platform. We don't do the commercials anymore, but we're doing this now, so we have all the time for the guests. And we'll post your information, and then just like we have on the ticker here, that comes up at the bottom. Where is that camera? Yeah, that camera here. And I don't even know how that's something new. It's showing the share in that. So I got to work with that. But it's a ticker at the bottom. It's the same thing where we'll be promoting your business. So you can give us a phone number or an email or whatever, so people can know all about you. And we can continue to circle our dollars in the community, if you will. That's all the time we have for the show. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever social media is. You could Google the Marching Podcast and you'll see us come up and see episodes just like this. Shout out to the Boom. Love the Boom. Shout out to the Sonic Boom Alumni Association. Shout out to all of them, and appreciate you and thank you for all of your support. Much love, and really thankful for all of the continued interaction and all the things that we do to continue to promote our school. Really, and again, just really proud of you guys for what you're doing.
Thank you.
That's all the time that we have for the show. Always remember, the eye is a better pupil, and more willing than the ear. Advice may be misleading, but examples are always clear. See you next time.